nice. Hey, yeah, it's the IDP show. Now you know.
Welcome to the IDP show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Soda Shack tonight. On my right, Adam Markham. On my left, Bobby Reynolds. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
Doing amazing this evening, Josh. Bob?
Doing swell, Adam. Josh, how are you?
I am so swell. It's a beautiful day here.
We all got our hats on.
We are. It's a hat day.
Right.
Working out in the yard. Did not have time to do the hair before the episode started. So, yeah, it's a hat. It's a hat episode.
It is a weird day here in Kentucky.
It feels like fall.
75.
Yeah.
A little chilly.
Little chilly today. So,
chilly.
did you boys get to get outside and do anything fun?
Not really.
No.
Bobo, you been playing any disc here recently?
Played once last week. I got a full round in with my boy Connor. Not your Connor, different Connor.
How do you know multiple Connors?
Weird world. But yeah, you know, Joe T. Got to see Joe T. Swap a little disc with him.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
as you are one to do.
It is nice right now though, because I know the 95, 100-degree days.
Oh, yeah, it's coming.
Humidity. It's on its way.
It's on its way.
Yeah.
It's inescapable, Eddie.
I sat out back and watched the storms roll in yesterday, I guess it was. I don't know. I'm kind of getting to that point in life where it's like, you know what? Let's just watch this thunderstorm.
That's some serious old man behavior right
Beautiful.
there.
Makes you think.
I was on the mower, ran out of gas yesterday in the middle of the driveway, got home just in time to beat the storms. I'm literally blowing off the driveway as the rain's starting to come down.
Did you have any thoughts?
I had some thoughts of why did I not fill up my gas can before I got on the mower?
You're thinking, should I call Bobby?
Yes. Can I
gas?
push this? Can I ask my pregnant wife to push the mower into the garage with me?
She'll be fine.
The answer was no. I just went and got gas. But we're glad you guys are here tonight. It is the continuation of the series that we started last week, or no, 2 weeks ago. It's been linebacker season, though, in the IDP show feed. 2 weeks ago, we had the top 48 Dynasty linebackers, number 48 to 25. Last week, you all heard Cowbelly Fuel with John Macri breaking down the rookie linebackers, and tonight we will be doing the top 24 Dynasty linebackers, pulled, of course, from Adam's Dynasty rankings, which you can find as part of the IDP show draft kit. He's in those ranks every day, folks, working on them, updating them. Addy, why don't you tell the folks some of the new stuff you've been working on in those ranks? You got some cool new features.
I chuckled today when I saw the dual Desi.
The dual Desi check box for, I believe it's the best ball ranks, is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, so for the best ball ranks, we have added a dual designation checkbox. So for the most part, all these drafts are going to be on Sleeper. So stuff like that is important to know. So we have a little checkbox now. You can sort them and see who has the the multiple designations. That's a nice little cheat code, I think, in these best balls. Anyway, also there's another cool thing that you can also sort by who had the most 30-point games, who had the most 35-point games, who had the most games held under 5 points. Just tons of
ceiling and floor. We talk about it all the time, and we've finally been able to quantify that, Bobo. If you're wanting to draft for floor, if you're wanting to draft for ceiling, maybe grab some dual designation guys. Now you can do that.
Yeah, especially in the best ball, that's what we need to know.
That's right.
I thought that Adam put the dual Desi in there after he saw me draft Zaven Collins, and he was like, hold up. When did Zaven get the dual designation?
When did Zaven season officially enter dual Desi season?
But yes, I noticed that yesterday we're doing another best ball draft. Another.
We're up to 47 now, I think.
Yeah, I was looking at the rosters and I noticed Bob selected Zaven Collins, and I just pulled him up, just longingly.
Of course,
and,
as you were wont to do.
He's got the DL tag now.
He does. Those early June rumors are affecting the sleeper designation.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like that's going to be the case, though. I mean, they are using him pretty much exclusively there right now.
Me and Adam have a very healthy respect for Zaven and Isaiah Simmons. You know, I respect Zaven. He respects Isaiah. We both want the best for our guys.
It's a mutually beneficial, toxic dependency you guys have.
Now one of them's DL linebacker. The other one's LB DB. You know, one's way more valuable than the other.
Exactly.
It's dual Desi season, folks.
Sure.
We are in the midst of it. So make sure you check it out, theidpshow.com. The draft kit is going to be available over there for paid supporters. We've got these best ball drafts cranking. You're going to get first access as a paid supporter over there to those best ball drafts. We are on the march to 100 drafts by the end of the offseason. So come over and join us. We're about halfway to that mark right now. And boys, we're going to get there.
Everyone that gets in them loves them.
That's true.
Everyone's learning a ton.
See a lot of repeat drafters in there.
We've got a lot of really good rooms. Some of these drafts that I'm in.
The room
man,
we're in right now with 41.
Yeah.
It's
the
annoying.
the sharpest draft I think I've been a part of this offseason.
It's way more annoying than it is sharp.
Yes, I'm very annoyed when I'm like, all right, there goes my entire queue. I thought I had enough to make it back. I did not.
I'm watching Aaron Donald just fall in the second. Josh is like, sorry, Bob.
I'll take that. Thank you very much. Yeah, got my Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner stack in there once again.
Yeah, y'all suck.
Our boy Dynasty Tim Kirkland snatched up Devondre Campbell from me. He's like, I had to save you from yourself.
He's crushing it in all these.
Shout out Tommy Russell too. T. Russell is one of the most 0 to 100 type guys in this best ball. Going from when he jumped in, probably around best ball 20 until now. Educationally, he's gone from a second grader to he's graduating high school.
Yeah, he's got that PhD.
Old dude's doing real good.
Yeah, he's pretty much in every single one of these now, too.
I love it.
So come on and join us, theidpshow.com.
They're cheap. $1, $2,
Yeah,
$3.
we try to vary the prices. So $1, $2. I think Evan launched the first $10 one. So we're trying to mix in. We have platinum and premium drafts, which are free for free and paid supporters over at the IDP show. So
Evan trying to make up for all them golf balls I had in the woods.
he's like, let me win this money and then donate it to the IDP show bank account.
That's right.
For all those golf balls.
It's okay. We don't care about them golf balls, Evan.
Yeah, but he just felt the need to go retrieve them for you, which was awful sweet. But, and yeah, speaking of Evan, make sure you guys are tuned in to the IDP after show as well. We got our next divisional preview episode dropping Wednesday of this week. It's going to be with DJ Cowtown. I think they're going to be covering, I believe, the AFC West. So you can only get those episodes over at the IDPshow.com.
Yeah, speaking of annoying, Evan and Jake getting a little too good these days. They're going to have to reel it back just a touch.
They're going to have to stop being as funny.
What's the saying? The old cock in the hen
I
house.
believe it's Fox in the hen house.
Shout out Macri.
Yeah, the old cock in the hen house. That's right. All right, well, let's talk some linebackers, boys, and let's kick things off with your beloved Minnesota Vikings. Well, I don't know if they're beloved anymore, Addy. I think they've probably been getting on your nerves a little bit here recently. Who cares? But we're going to kick things off with a linebacker I think we are collectively very excited about. Number 24, Brian Asamoah of the Minnesota Vikings, 23.2 years old. He is going into his second season. Played just 119 snaps across 16 games played, 0 started, 1.6 points per game. Graded fairly well, 78.8 PFF overall defensive grade. Addy, this is purely projection, but what we love here is opportunity. Eric Kendricks gone. Asamoah was put in place of Jordan Hicks at the end of last season. So all signs point to this being a massive breakout season for Brian Asamoah.
Yep. I mean, you said pretty much everything that there's to say there. I mean, he's a fun player. He's an electric player. When he got his opportunity last year, he made plays. I think he was only like 150 some snaps or something, but it was there. You could tell this guy, the way he moves is what you kind of want as in this modern NFL. So, yeah, massive opportunity. Just really Jordan Hicks.
That's it.
I mean, this was a guy that they drafted in the 3rd round of the 2021 draft. 2022 draft. So they're going to want to see what they have in this guy. But, I mean, it's all there for them.
They want to see what they have in this guy.
Yeah.
I think the moves tell me. Kyle Bellyfuel said it very well on the episode. They were talking about justice for Ivan Pace, which I agree. I'm excited for Ivan Pace as well because he said, who are the backups behind Jordan Hicks and Brian Asamoah? It's the mid Troy bros. It's Troy Reeder and Troy Dye.
Yeah.
So no thank you. I would much rather roll the dice on any of the other linebackers there. And Bobo, as we know from the episode earlier this offseason with Drew and H-Bomb, as Tyler famously said, Brian Asamoah can boogie. And so I like his outlook for not only Dynasty, but really 2023 as well.
Brian Asamoah is going to be discount Ernest Jones. Ernest Jones has real similar draft capital, I believe, and there's pretty much nobody left. I mean, you look at how much the Minnesota Vikings, I feel like, value Brian Asamoah. They didn't really bring a whole lot of, players in of much name value, at least this offseason. And Asamoah is going to go from 11% snap share in 2022 to, 90% snap share.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to pole vault. I mean, you're probably not going to see any linebacker go from, have an 80% snap share increase more than Brian Asamoah. I love it. He's a talented player. I mean, there's not a whole lot more to say. Opportunity, yes. Is he talented? 78.8, PFF score. We're going to see. He's going to have the bright lights on him this year.
I mean, you don't let Eric Kendricks walk, even though the Vikes are in cap hell a little bit. I mean, we're seeing Danielle Hunter trade rumors. Zadarius Smith already gone. Dalvin Cook has been cut. They're making room for this, Justin Jefferson extension. So they wouldn't let him go, though, and then not address the position outside of, taking a flyer on Ivan Pace if they didn't feel comfortable in what they had. And you're right, Bobo. Ernest Jones, who is still massively undervalued in these best balls that we're doing, going as LB 29. Right now, Brian Asamoah is discount Ernest Jones going as LB 36. So you're getting a little bit of a discount there on Asamoah.
And in Dynasty, how many people are on to Brian Asamoah right now? People that don't listen to the IDP show. I mean, this is going to be a guy who I think he could be a league winner for you this year.
We had people saying they were getting him for like a 4th round pick, before the draft and stuff.
I took him at the 5-12 in last year's rookie draft. So I don't think you had to pay a lot for this guy. You kind of had to sit on him for a bit.
You probably could still go get him for that. I mean, he's still not a big name. The season hasn't started yet. So he's going to play. He's got to play. There's nobody else there.
Yeah.
But it should make you feel good about these other 3rd round rookie picks from this previous draft. Dorian Williams, Trenton Simpson. You may have to wait a year or so, but I mean, those guys are going to likely be, top 30 assets next year.
That's how it goes. If they can play the guitar, and I think Asamoah can play the guitar. Let's move on to a guy, though, at 23. Can he stay on the field? Can he hold off Chad Muma? We're talking about Devin Lloyd of the Jacksonville Jaguars, 24.7 years old, came into the league a little bit older. He played 80% of snaps, 926 snaps across 17 games played, 15 started, 10.8 points per game, and 48.1 overall defensive grade by PFF. His best grade was actually his run defense grade, tackling 39.5, coverage 32.4. But Addy, you say it all the time. These rookie linebackers, we kind of have to throw the grades out from the rookie season, because this is a hard position to learn, and a lot of these guys get cooked on the PFF grades in year one.
Yeah, it was a tough look for Devin Lloyd, really, after those first 4 or 5 days, 4 or 5 games. I mean, remember that first month we were like hyped up about Devin Lloyd, like we had this guy like top 8, I think. When we did that, we did a video, Dynasty. I think it was like top 8 Dynasty linebackers. He was on that video.
I think we were debating if he was top 1.
Yeah,
I think we were very excited.
I was hyped. I was extremely hyped. So yeah, I mean, definitely, he's seen his value come back to earth quite a bit, and that's probably the way it should have been. It was just it's easy to get optimistic about these guys. I mean, this guy was, everything we look for in a linebacker. He was like 9.56 RAS score. The college production was amazing.
Yes. There's no reason not to like this guy. He just had a little bit of a dip during his rookie season.
But he also came into a weird situation. Yeah. Like, it was weird that they had
Foye still there, a capable backup, and Muma still there.
That was just it was weird from the jump. It was probably a situation we should have avoided more from the jump.
Really shortened his leash, Bobo, but this is still a guy that averaged 10.8 points per game.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was some kind of bust that never saw the field, got hurt, or vastly underperformed. I mean, if you can get any kind of discount on Devin Lloyd right now, which I don't know that you can, but I'm happy to buy the dip.
Yeah. The Jaguars are just a weird team right now. They let Arden Key go in free agency. I saw an article today about, is the 4th year the year that Kayvon Chason finally pops? And it's just like, no. They didn't
No.
really bring in a bunch of
No.
defensive backs. They still have Rayshon Jenkins. They did draft a guy named Ventrell Miller in the 4th round, who is a name that you may need to pay attention to. If Lloyd, I have a question for y'all here in just a second, but I don't know. Muma's coverage really last year could keep him off the field. I feel like Devin Lloyd is going to be the one that is going to have an opportunity to prove it early on in 2023. My question is, do y'all buy the whole, like, he's not going to rush the passer type thing this offseason that we've been hearing?
For Devin Lloyd?
Yeah, so the Jacksonville Jaguars have been talk about him being like a Micah Parsons, or like moving him outside more to rush the passer as like an outside linebacker.
I hadn't seen this.
Yeah, I didn't
But
hear
then
that.
I've also kind of heard like some pushback from the Jaguars organization about, could be shout out my boy Ben Ratty telling me too much of this information, but basically the Jaguars saying no, Devin Lloyd is still going to be a primarily a linebacker. We're not really rushing the passer with him a lot. But I mean, you look at his pass rush grade, that was
It's
about
his
his
best
highest
one.
grade right now.
He was really good out in college, too. He had 15.5 sacks in college.
Yeah.
He had 43 tackles for loss. That was 1.2 per game, so that's a really, really good rate for linebackers.
I could see the Jaguars getting creative with him.
I think they could use him. I don't think he's going to be a Micah Parsons
No,
where we
no,
look
no.
at the end of the season
Yeah.
like, well, we got to switch,
But
Devin Lloyd to defensive end
Jerome
and
Baker,
RSO.
they'll use him, he'll be there a third of his snaps, maybe.
I think a lot, too, about the Devin White year where he had 9 sacks with Levante David. I think that was 2021, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Foye is clearly the tackling machine
Yeah.
in that defense.
Coverage
so,
is probably better as well. Dude,
That-
I don't hate it for Devin Lloyd letting him rush the passer.
That wouldn't be
A
a,
little
bad
bit.
idea. And
Yeah.
also, I saw where they're going to let Trayvon work inside more this year. So I
Yeah.
mean, that
Yeah.
would open up a spot
Yep.
on the edge.
They would.
He can, be interesting to kind of pair him beside of like Hassan Reddick, like size wise. They kind of seem similar to me.
Well, and it's, Addie, you mentioned it at the time. Devin Lloyd was the linebacker they chose to plug in the most important game of the season, the playoff game. So I think brighter days ahead for Devin Lloyd. Brighter days ahead for our next guy here at 22, Patrick Queen of the Baltimore Ravens. Bobo, I'll kick it over to you. 94% of snaps, 17 games played, 15.1 points per game. Patrick Queen balled out of his mind last season. So why does the temperature seem to be a little lukewarm on Patrick Queen right now?
It's just kind of been up and down with Pat Queen. I feel like it has been down, but it has also been up. Unlike Kenneth Murray, unlike Jordyn Brooks, there have been times where Pat Queen has looked great. Adam even kind of talked about it before last year that Patrick Queen is best used when he rushes the passer. Well, look at his PFF grade of 78.5 of pass rush. That was his best grade from PFF last year. 5 sacks. He had 24.5 sack yards, 9 TFLs.
14 QB hits.
Oh, dude, I mean, he has a skill set, and it's rushing the passer. And maybe Baltimore foresaw this Lamar deal coming, so maybe that was an indication that they were looking at a Trenton Simpson type in the draft because they knew that they were not going to be able to pay Roquan and Pat
This is
Queen.
what they do. They
Yeah.
draft a year and ahead of need so that they're not drafting for need in the moment. They can draft a year ahead, plug these guys in. It's what we're going to see along the defensive line there with the guy from Michigan. Help me out here. Michigan edge rusher, David Ajabo.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, David Ajabo, perfect example. They're going to slot him in this season. Got him in the second round. Trenton Simpson, same thing. So I think the reason that Queen, despite the breakout last year, Addie, is here at 22 is because the writing is on the wall. We talked about it in one of our last episodes, Winners and Losers, with Scott Bogman, Bobo, that we can see what the Ravens' plan is here, which is Trenton Simpson, Roquan Smith in 2024. Yep. Now, do you think there are brighter days ahead for Patrick Queen? Does he go get a nice deal in free agency next season, have a couple more good years left in the tank? What do we think?
Yes. Dude, he's not even 24. He's 23.8 right now. So
How is Devin Lloyd
24
like
Exactly.
a full year older than
exactly.
this guy?
This is going to be his 4th year in the league, and he's gonna turn 24.
It really helps to come into the league at like 19 years old.
So he's got the Tremaine Edmunds thing going on with the age, right? So 15.1 points per game last year, 9.7 in 2021, 13.5 in 2020. So he's been solid his entire career from a points per game standpoint. And then the grades last year, it was 70.2. I mean, that was by far the best he's graded of his career. But you just got to keep going back to 23.8. Decent athlete, 8.08 RAS score, good draft capital. You know,
That stuff matters. That carries.
28th overall pick. So he's going to continue to get opportunities. I've said this a lot lately, but we've seen the crappy linebackers that get decent deals in free agency. Patrick Queen is solid. He's fine.
Yep.
And he has all these things that I just mentioned going for him. So there's going to be some teams that take a shot on him. He's probably going to have he's going to find himself in a better situation where he doesn't have as much talent around him, so he can, you know, because he does produce. I mean, he's a guy that he makes big plays, and it's someone that, you know, that you want to target.
Do you worry about him as your LB1 since we saw the Ravens go out and make a big trade and pay Roquan a $100 million contract because they weren't happy with what they were getting from linebacker? That's my only concern is he miscast as your LB1? Is he more the supercharged deluxe LB2 type?
Yeah, I mean, ideally you don't want that guy as your LB1, like from, you know, real life standpoint. But if you have a chance to go get Roquan, you go get Roquan.
Yes, that is a good point.
But maybe you do now, because when he was the LB1 for Baltimore, it was him and Malik Harrison, and they were both spring chickens. You know, they're both 20 years old, fresh out of the draft. And Harbaugh's asking Pat Queen to be the green dot and to be the LB1 for that team. It was just too much for the guy. Could you maybe see an LB1 role again for this guy whose fifth-year option was not picked up, much like Isaiah Simmons? I love it. I'm more than happy to see Pat Queen and Isaiah Simmons go somewhere else, different scheme, different defensive coordinator, and start over fresh. And exactly like what Adam's saying, they've got the Chase Young effect to where they were drafted super high. That draft capital is there.
I agree.
And they're going to get the Tremaine Edmunds money.
That's the reason I think we feel a little bit of the sting of disappointment is because we thought Pat Queen would be just a little bit better than what he's been.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about, I think the IDP kind of populace at large is a little bit soured on this guy just because of higher expectations. But, okay, here's the question that we'll wrap up with here. Going as LB10 right now. Is that too rich?
And this is in the best balls?
This is in the best balls.
That's a little too rich for me. I'm not going to have any Pat Queen in redraft.
I'd like him a little more in the mid-teens because of the Trenton Simpson factor does worry me a little bit. Because we talked about, you know, making these YouTube shorts. You talked about what if Singleton turned back into a pumpkin last episode.
Yep.
What happens if Patrick Queen turns back into a pumpkin?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to be watching for him to mess up, right? Because everyone wants to get the rookie in there.
Get Trenton Simpson in there. That guy's the future. So
yeah, I could see him having a short leash. But like, you know, it's been good for Pat Queen, even if they don't pick up that option. So what?
Yeah,
they didn't pick up Tremaine Edmunds' option, and it worked out fine for him.
Tremaine Edmunds is doing just fine.
And his value's still intact. Like that's not that big of a deal.
Baltimore could roll all three of them at times this year too.
Yeah, they could. Hey, LB10 for Patrick Queen, yes or no?
Too much.
That's too much.
I don't have
That's
any
too
Pat
rich.
Queen. Don't have any Isaiah Simmons.
We'll talk about linebacker who is too rich at ADP. We are talking about let's see, I believe he is still at the LB6 right now. It is Shaquille Leonard of the Indianapolis Colts. And let's see where Shaq is going. No, he is down to LB7. So we are slowly working this guy down
Good job,
the
guys.
LB list. But he is number 21 on Adam's list here, 27.9 years old. He signed a 5-year, $98 million contract. He's a UFA in 2027. He only played in 3 games last season, 74 snaps, started 1 game, a myriad of injuries. 7.9 points per game, graded very poorly across the board. I just completely throw 2022 out the window. Injury-riddled season. But, of course, that leaves a big old question mark for his future in Indy, Bobo.
But let me ask you, Josh, because I don't remember the last time Shaq Leonard played football. Is it really, IDP-wise, is it really worth that? Is Shaq Leonard playing football really worth, not necessarily the ADP that we're seeing right now, but is it really worth a top 20 pick
Not anymore.
For the Maniac?
Not at 20, almost 28 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's older than what I thought. And, I mean,
When it was good, was it really that good?
Yes, it really was that good, but
Yeah,
that
that
was
first
several years ago. I mean, we're talking 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And this is a weird kind of like souped up version of what we're seeing with Jordyn Brooks right now, where it's like the name value has not diminished despite a really murky outlook for this season. For Shaq Leonard, it's because of all of the injuries he's had in the past. I don't like to throw the injury prone label around because I think it gets misapplied to guys who just had freaky, unlucky injuries. But with Shaq Leonard, it is accurate and apropos to call him injury prone because we've seen all sorts of different injuries, concussions, broken noses, back surgeries, ankle surgeries, all sorts of scary stuff that you don't want to see. But Jordyn Brooks, same thing, probably not going to be ready till November, still going very highly in these drafts. We're seeing the same thing with Shaq Leonard. I don't get why we have not seen a course correction in his value right now. People still love this guy.
Yeah. But Bobby's right. The guy does not score the way he once did. If you look at when he came into the league, 2018, that first year he had 163 tackles and 7 sacks. The next year, 121 tackles and 5 sacks. In 2020, he had 132 tackles and 3 sacks. And then no more sacks. 2021, he had 122 tackles, no sacks. And then last year, of course, just 3 games, but no sacks. So, I mean, those stat lines are just declining.
Yeah.
And the big plays are not there anymore.
No sacks is no bueno. You want to be having those sacks.
Yeah. That's why his
Lots of
value
sacks.
was amazing at one point, right? That's why he was
That's why he was the maniac.
right, because he got the tackles and he got the big plays. That's what you look for,
So
right?
stop drafting him like you're drafting 2018 Shaq Leonard.
You're not.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Could he have one more pop-up season where he's a top, I think maybe top 10 linebacker? Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm not willing to make that bet, though, because I've been burned.
And you're going to be feeling scared to death the entire time.
You're not going to enjoy rostering
No.
Shaq
You're
Leonard
like,
because
please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt.
it's a ticking time bomb. You're waiting for an ankle to pop or a back injury to pop up or a concussion or some other
Yeah.
stupid injury to
So
pop
honestly,
up.
this is probably too high for him in the rankings now that we're having this discussion about it. Just because, I mean, everyone knows. Everyone knows. This dude is one injury away from just being complete damage goods.
Yeah.
No one's going to want.
One injury away from maybe being cut this next offseason and them just riding with maybe Zaire Franklin.
Yeah, I'd say at this point it's probably
Yeah,
likely
they
he
got to
gets
pay.
cut.
They
I
got to
think-
pay Zaire, don't they?
Yeah, he's coming up. He's going to be a free agent. I
Yeah.
think we could see them draft somebody. So
Probably cut Leonard,
PFF
sign Patrick Queen to a
there you go. Massive.
5-year, $120 million deal.
He makes more money than Roquan.
I could
just
see them
making me absolutely sick.
I could see them letting Zaire walk. So
Yeah.
be patient with that in Dynasty as well.
Yeah, he could be off to greener pastures as well, potentially.
Yeah.
So,
Zaire wants some money.
yeah, so Shaq Leonard.
Got that captain badge, though.
that will never let that die, folks. Get the captain patch, and you're going to soar in the dynasty ranks. But hey, handsomeness works as well, and that's what's going in the favor of our next linebacker here, Matt Milano of the
cookies.
Buffalo Bills. Great cookies as well. 28.9 years old. Just signed, I believe, an extension this offseason, so he's going to be in Buffalo for a good long while. 2022 stats were very solid. 96% of snaps across 15 games played, 15.7 points per game. He had 100 total tackles, 12 TFLs, and his grades across the board were very solid. 77.1 overall and 83.2 in coverage. Matt Milano is one of my favorite targets because he consistently gets slept on in these drafts and does not carry the name cachet that even like a Tremaine Edmunds, who the Bills just let walk. I think the dynasty community is still hot in the pants more for Tremaine Edmunds than they are the beautiful one, Matt Milano.
Webster's Dictionary, LB2, Matt Milano's beautiful mugs just sitting there smiling at you. I do wish that Milano did a little bit more in the sack department. It would be nice if he could get to a 3, 4, 5 sack year. Get away a little bit from just the tackles, but Matt Milano, super solid, not going anywhere. Dynasty LB2 for you for the next 2 to 3 years. I'm on board.
You're on board with it. Well, I will say the community, the IDP drafters that we've had in these drafts so far are showing Matt Milano a little more love this year, which I love to see, going as LB 14 right now.
Yeah, that's solid.
Compared to Tremaine Edmunds LB 18. So is the IDP kind of space starting to warm up to Matt Milano being a stud, Addy? Or is he still? Yeah, like what the hell took so long?
I mean, it's been a long road for Matt Milano, man. This is a guy that just he's always been slept on. He's always been the value of whatever duo he's a part of.
Was it Tremaine that's done this?
Is Tremaine being gone boosted his value for this coming season?
I don't know, man. He was just really good, and he's been really good.
And was Tremaine being there what has always suppressed Milano's value?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And well, I mean, but he did take a large step, this past year. 15.7 points per game. That was up from 12.1 in 2021. In 2020, it was 11.9 points per game. So yeah, I mean, he did go to another level. But that's why we've always been a fan of Matt Milano. We knew that he's an actual good linebacker. It's the same thing with Fred Werner. This is a guy that you're going to be able to play and have on your roster until he's probably like in his mid-30s.
I mean, the Bills love him. They locked him up 2-year contract extension through the 2026 season. Extension is worth $14 million per year.
And Matt Milano is also going to score very well in our scoring because he's a good linebacker and he gets pass deflections. I think he had like 11 last year.
11 pass breakups. He had 7 QB hits, 3 INTs, 2 fumble recoveries, a defensive touchdown.
Yes, he was a monster last year.
He's only probably lower in these ranks because of the age, right? He's almost 29 years old. So
now the big plays were probably a little much last year. You could see that coming down a little bit, but still, I think he's at that at worst LB2 level. You can expect between like 14 to 16 points per game.
Yeah, this is where he's being drafted right now. One of my favorite targets. Let's saddle up and ride with Matt Milano, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of that ride, staring at that beautiful face of his.
He's so hot.
He's so hot. He's such a good-looking man.
He deserves a lot more love, just from the.
We all do.
Yeah, but especially him for just being how hot.
He's so hot. Like, it's hard to be that handsome and be a football player.
Yeah.
Like, the Jimmy G's and, Tom Brady's don't grow on trees here, guys.
Yeah.
Let's appreciate the handsome ones when we got them.
Just an absolute classic hot middle linebacker.
Yes.
Great hair.
We don't have a lot of those.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys look like, factory
Brian
worker.
Urlacher.
Yeah, I was just thinking of Urlacher, like rolling in from the factory with like his hard hat and
Zach Thomas.
Yeah, just absolute beef neck, you know. Yeah, the exact
Brian
opposite.
Cushing.
Yeah,
just trying to get the worst.
Who's I think you found it. I think that may be the worst.
If y'all played linebacker, would you have the big?
I'd have it all.
The big thing behind your head.
I'd have that. I'd have the visors.
It's like a child's life jacket that's got the
neck roll.
Yeah,
like the back plate type of thing.
Yeah, I'd have like a wig with dreads.
Yeah, wig with dreads.
Just the weirdest guy. Like, what's wrong with this guy?
Remember,
he's got an extra 40 pounds of crap.
Yeah, absolutely go from like a 6'7" to like a 7'8".
It's like
40.
You make a lot of noise when you're out there. It's like
everyone
knows where you're at.
Everyone knows where you are.
It's all that jingling.
Yeah, it reminds me of our senior year of high school, the Jello Roosters rec basketball team we had. Our buddy Cameron Carlock wore an actual wig in the first game and couldn't see the court.
Yeah.
And of course, that team, our famous tip play was get the ball and shoot it from wherever we were on the court to start the game. So
rest in peace, Tommy Brown.
Yeah, what a season that was. Started off. Here's how I knew things were going to go poorly. We had 2 guys grab the rim during warm-ups. Little did we know, that's a technical foul.
Let's go.
So the other team was shooting 2 technical foul free throws.
My bad.
Like 2 sets of free throws.
Game 1.
To start game 1 before the first buzzer ever sounded. Yeah. So yeah, it would be an absolute nightmare if we were NFL players.
That was a great time. That's one of the best times of my life, though.
Absolutely.
Jello's Roosters.
Jello Roosters, shout out forever. But
I played that league too, and it made me think about y'all's last episode about the first dip you ever had. I had one on the way to a basketball game, walking in the gym, Ralphing everywhere.
Oh yeah.
It's like a rite of passage that your first dip just comes with a massive barf.
I mean, everyone that dips, man, just know that they had to commit to that because they got sick. I mean,
they had to know.
Got to push through.
You got to do it.
You want to be a lipper.
How did Dip come back
cool.
up again in the second consecutive episode?
You want to look cool. You're going to have to struggle for
That
about a week or
Copenhagen
so.
to look
long
cool
cut.
with
right.
that big fat lipper
And
in.
you will look cool, brother. Ain't nothing cooler.
Not as cool as cigarettes,
that
though.
brown spit, boy,
Yeah.
I tell you.
Big old bottle of Dip Spit in your car. So much fun. Well, hey, another player that I have questions about. We just mentioned him. Number 19, Jordyn Brooks, 25.7 years old. I mean, what are we doing with Jordyn Brooks right now, Addy? This is one of the biggest questions I have of the offseason.
Yeah, let's take it away from best ball. Let's just dynasty.
Right. So this one is one of those rankings where when I mention, like, what does the market think of a guy? The market loves Jordyn Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
And he was fairly solid. 16 games played, 13.8 points per game, 94% of snaps.
And he's going to continue to get opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he also former first-round pick. You know, he's been extremely productive. People are going to look at those tackle numbers and be like, oh, my God, this guy.
Oh, this is juicy.
He's unreal. I can't believe we can get this guy.
But, Jim, look at the PFF numbers. I don't care. Look at all them
He's
tackles.
just shredded his knee. Don't care. First round draft pedigree.
Or say, look away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, all that stuff. I mean, he's going to continue to get opportunities. He's going to continue to produce.
So you maybe like him better for dynasty than redraft.
1,000%.
Okay, that makes sense.
Not even on my radar in redraft.
What's it take to get Jordyn Brooks right now?
He's sitting there in best ball 41 right now. I think he's still on the board, probably at LB 50
Yeah.
at this point, I would say. Do you take him at a certain point in a best ball if he falls far enough? Because even if you just get the back half of the season.
At that point, it might be worth it.
No, why would it be worth it? They just brought in Bobby Wagner. They still have
Devin
Bush. I mean, what's the best you're gonna? Jordyn Brooks is not gonna be that LB1 anymore.
I think if Devin Bush or if Jordyn Brooks comes back healthy, I think Devin Bush is out of there.
Here's, are you sure? Are we sure that
fairly
Jordyn Brooks
sure.
is better
Now,
than Devin Bush?
if he is healthy.
ACL, that's right.
If he is healthy, it's just such a big question mark. I'm just asking, is it worth it at the place in the draft where you're taking
Yeah,
these,
when do you take this guy?
Luke Masterson or Jordyn Brooks?
Right.
you know, are you taking Robert Spillane
Well, that's
or
where I'm
Jordyn
at.
Brooks?
Good point.
I think I'm OTC right now, so I'm probably going to go Spillane.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's where I would be going.
Yeah. I just don't want to deal with Jordyn Brooks.
Because you know Spillane is going to play.
Yes.
That's the point.
I think if you're looking at this guy, you're thinking, all right, I can take this backup. I can take a Chad Muma, right? Or a how about Drew Tranquil or Jordyn Brooks?
I'm in on Drew Tranquil.
You took him in that best ball.
I think he's being faded a little much now.
Yeah, I mean,
He's going to be that LB2. They're already saying he's looking great.
Sorry, Willie.
sorry, Willie.
Yeah. And he's going to probably get like, if he gets 60% of the snaps, he's still going to be solid.
What is that team gonna do? You got a guy climbing
Break everyone's
buses.
heart.
Willie Gay looked awesome.
It's going to be Drew Tranquil and
Willie Gay's out.
Leo
They know.
Chenal.
They know Willie Gay's gone.
But I'm with you, Addy. I'm just avoiding Jordyn Brooks. I'm going to let somebody else deal with that. Here's my hot take. My hot take is that going into 2024, you're still going to have people talking about Jordyn Brooks' ACL and how healthy he is. Because, like, you're rushing it at this point. You waited so long to have the surgery.
I think he's going to look bad. I think if he gets on the field, he's probably not going to look right.
And this is going to be something that's a problem for the team that he's going to in the offseason because they decline his 5th year. He won't be with Seattle
he'll
next
be
year.
somewhere else.
I don't know. Whatever.
What did Jamison Williams have? Did he have
It was an ACL.
I was listening to the Underdog Football Show, and Hayden Winks was saying J-Mo looked slow. He didn't look strong.
Last year?
Yeah, when they had those brief games that he was in. So rushing back from the ACL, even if he's back for the last part of the season,
I fade all these guys.
could
coming
he
off
be
ACLs.
healthy and could he play? Yes. I would not take that bet. I would take the bet that this guy is completely irrelevant for 2023, but that doesn't mean we should overlook him for 2024 and beyond.
J.K. Dobbins dragging his leg around for the majority of last season. Like, did he play? Yes. Was he elite? Like, regular J.K. Dobbins? No. You know, I agree with you, Josh. Rashawn Gary, I'm not drafting right now.
Harold Landry?
No, thank you. Jordyn Brooks? No. Yeah.
None of them.
Javonte Williams, while we're on fantasy.
You asked what's Jordyn Brooks worth? Like, am I going to pay a second for him? No. But if it's like a third, like a future third or something, I'd maybe
24 third to maybe plan on having him for 2024.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
You're probably going to
IR-ing.
get more
Yes.
immediate returns from Brooks next year than you would a third round.
I just
pick.
don't think you can get him for that.
But
I
here's
think
the
people are
thing.
going to want a second.
Here's what
I
I'm
think you could.
In a lot of dynasty rosters, though, people have him in their roster like he's going to play in
Like in their
2023.
lineup?
Yes.
Dude, if you look at people's dynasty rankings, this guy's top 10.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Like,
so maybe I'm
like top, honestly, like top. Like
I have a
6.
hard time separating
All right, I'm going to ask
the
you
way
a
I
tough
feel
question.
from the way the rest of the community feels on
Here's
guys.
a tough question because we've just gone through it. Pat Queen or Jordyn Brooks in dynasty?
Boy, that's a good question.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Because I feel like
I
we're
see them
probably-
very similar.
We've
honestly.
got a healthy Pat Queen who's honestly, I feel like on the upside because he's going to be able to go somewhere else.
I think you could. I think you could get Pat Queen
Plus.
plus
Yep.
for
Good-
Jordyn Brooks.
Good call.
Yes,
Good call.
you definitely could.
But I'm not going to tell that manager that I would probably do Pat Queen for Jordyn Brooks
Me
straight
too.
up.
Yeah, honestly, I could see that as well. I mean, Pat Queen, not 24, and his ACL is fully intact.
Yep. And he's going to play this year.
And he's going to play this year, and he's going to get an opportunity in 2020.
I think he's going to get a lot more money than Jordyn Brooks too, because he's going to probably have a nice season. It is in the range of outcomes.
The only concern with Queen is if he does get benched this year, that's
gonna
probably
hurt.
not look good.
Sure.
On,
Yeah, you have to put it in the range of outcomes. He gets benched. They bring in Trenton Simpson, but
Bobby O, it had just happened to Bobby O,
Right?
and
Yeah.
it worked out fine for him.
Yeah.
so yeah, it's and
Didn't-
Pat Queen's a first round pick
Didn't
Yeah.
Queen play good later?
when Roquan came
yeah.
over.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Roquan make anybody look good.
So if we have that sample size to say, hey, is Pat Queen going to be benched? Well, not if Roquan's out there.
yeah.
I mean, he played his best football of his career.
Who was the Chicago Bear linebacker that you rostered forever beside Roquan? Danny Trevathan.
Danny Trevathan, yeah.
Had
He
great seasons.
Makes a lot of guys look very good, I will say. Let's move on to number 18 here, and we are going to Carolina to talk about a breakout from last year. It is Frankie Luvu, 26.7 years old. He will be a UFA next season. 92% of snaps, 15 games played, 14 started, 18.1 points per game. This man was an absolute menace last season. 111 total tackles, 19 TFLs, 7 sacks, 9 QB hits, a defensive touchdown, 4 pass breakups, 90.1 in run defense, 74.8 overall. There was a reason they were calling this guy Frankie Love You, Addy, and I think it's because he came out of nowhere to deliver some probably fantasy championships last season.
Yeah, I think he was probably quite a few people's like fantasy MVP last year.
Yep.
Just kind of out of nowhere. But yeah, a guy that was undrafted. I mean, literally out of nowhere. And then, didn't really do anything until last year. I mean, he's 27, but he's just kind of just been floating around waiting for his opportunity. He was in New York, I think, before Carolina. But man, yeah, he finally got that opportunity and balled out. Good tackle getter, and then just the big plays. I mean, there wasn't hardly any linebacker like him. So yeah, I love Frankie Luvu. He's an obvious sell, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
this is
Shaq
gonna.
Thompson's probably the linebacker you want there, because you look at ADP for redraft. I'm just saying for redraft right now, LB 8 for Frankie Luvu, and then you have Shaq Thompson going as LB 41.
Yeah.
So I take the discount, but very interesting piece of news. I don't know if y'all remember this from last preseason.
Yep.
I think they literally played Frankie Luvu one series, and then he was done for the rest of the preseason.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember this?
Oh yeah.
So that's something I'm going to be looking for is I've never heard of this linebacker before, but the team just put him in bubble wrap for the rest of the offseason. Maybe we should pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The buzz was good on him last offseason. He did, I think, finish 2021 pretty strong too. So yeah, it just carried over. And yeah, I mean, the rest is history. But he's an interesting piece. I mean, I don't know what does life look like after Carolina. That's the big question with him, because he's going to go somewhere after this next
And
year.
what does life look like in a Giro Evero's defense?
Yeah.
That's another thing we got to take into account as well. I don't know what to make of Frankie Luvu, because the public has definitely caught on. LB8, I mean, 18th here in your dynasty rankings. I mean, he's a hot commodity with some considerable question marks. He's kind of the Geno Smith, right?
Yeah.
Of, minus the high draft pedigree that Geno got, but kind of a late career sort of, a surgence here. I don't know, Bobo. What do you make of Frankie Luvu? He's tough, isn't he?
I want to tell you that you need to sell him, but he was great last year. And
Was he the points per game leader, Addy? Was he number one?
18.1.
18.1. That's insane.
It's hard to look away from.
Yep.
But I agree with what you're saying too, Josh, that with the Evero being there, is there going to be a lot of change? Is that going to take his big play opportunities away? He's probably good at least for another year or so. I don't know, man. Frankie Luvu is a guy that's hard for me to sell because I sold him down the stretch last year and it kind of came back to bite me.
And what are you going to get for him? Is someone going to give you a second? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
So at that point, you're like, man, this guy's just a fun player to have on my team.
Yeah.
He gives me a weekly advantage if he does this similar,
So tough because it's like I love having Frankie Luvu on my team, right? But like I feel good about him for 2023. Beyond that, I think there are some legitimate question marks.
Yeah.
Because how is the league going to view him as you said, undrafted, late career breakout?
He's kind of like Zaire for me. Zaire was great last year.
Similar
and
kind
you're
of
probably
questions.
going to have another good year of Zaire, same as Luvu. But do you want to really have, especially in RSO where it's a contract league and you have to have them for multiple years, you really feel comfortable paying Zaire or Luvu like $8 million through 2024, 2025? I mean,
nope.
So the thing to do probably with Luvu and Zaire is if now is not the peak time to sell, which it might be, let them kind of gain some momentum in the season. And then if you're not a contender, if you feel like somebody who is a contender would give you maybe a second or something for one of them, that's probably the time to sell.
It is funny how many of these top linebackers by ADP in these best ball drafts I don't want anything to do with. Fred Warner at LB5.
Nope.
Zaire Franklin at LB6. Shaq Leonard at LB7. Frankie Luvu at LB8. Even that's too rich for me.
Yeah.
I think I have like one or two Frankie shares.
I don't think I have any of those. I mean, I'll take Roquan or Foye in the first.
Yeah.
But after that, then I'll just wait.
Yeah, because look at who they're going around. You have like Highsmith, Josh Allen, Uchenna Nwosu.
Yep.
You have guys like Jeffrey Simmons, DeForest Buckner.
No, I need all those guys.
Yeah, give me all them defensive linemen, please, and
Just
thank you.
The linebackers, we've talked about it, I guess, on the last episode because there were so many of those guys that you can get like as values, like the Quincy Williams, the Caden Ellises, the Troy Andersons.
Aziz Al-Shaair.
All those guys. That's where I'm really
we are
Denzel Perriman, Levante
Yep.
David. Like, that's when you start attacking linebacker.
You got 41 got your head bashed in with Perryman and then Jermaine Pratt going right before you came on the clock.
That was annoying.
That was very
annoying draft.
It's almost like putting all your thoughts out in the world is going to result in you getting sniped quite a bit in these drafts.
I think a lot of people have the ranks in that one. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
because I'll have my queue lined up, and I'm like, well, surely that I'm just my queue is basically just your rankings. Then I'll pull who I want from there, and they're just going boom, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm like, okay, people, okay,
Yeah, right.
got the same blueprint. But Baba, why don't you kick us off here with 17? Probably going to be one of your highest rostered players, I would say.
LB 17, my boy Ernest Jones for the Los Angeles Rams. LB 1, Ernest Jones, 23. Good golly, 0.6 years old. He is still on his rookie deal. He will be a UFA in 2025. His 2022 stats, he played 66% snaps for the Los Angeles Rams. Shout out my flag plant. Of the games, he played 17 of them. He started in 11, 8.9 points per game, 114 total tackles, 4 TFLs, and then a couple other big plays. His biggest PFF grades were his run defense of 78, and he has a tackle grade of 84.3%. I'm going to ask y'all a tough question. Is now the best time to sell Ernest Jones?
Absolutely not. No,
not yet.
no. The market has not caught up yet.
Okay.
You would be selling at a discount.
Yeah, like we always say. I mean, it depends on what someone's coming to give me. If someone's hyped up about them and they're willing to give me a second, I think that's when you start thinking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What could the 8.9 points per game turn into in 2023?
14, 15.
15, yeah, he could be an LB1.
He's a top. I think he's LB 8 or 9 for me in my rankings right now.
So I agree
And I
with
feel
that.
great about that.
So you don't think the general consensus has caught up enough to how valuable Ernest Jones could be?
I don't think so, man. I remember having some Ernest Jones tweets like early this offseason, and some people were not as hype about.
he's LB 29.
Yeah.
We're saying I think he's a lock for a top 8 linebacker, and you can get him 21 spots later by ADP. The market does not. Now, it is starting to heat up. He is a riser. He is up 14.8 spots in the last 5 drafts.
So now he's like top, 20?
Yeah, so he was 76.2 ADP. He's up to 61.4. So that's the end of the 5th round now.
Yeah.
So
I just want people to know, make no mistake, who was on Ernest first. I just want that out there in the world.
It was us.
I remember tweeting about Ernest Jones like 2 years ago because Ernest Jones supposedly is some big jewelry company somewhere. And I was looking him up on Twitter, and that was one of the first tweets I ever had about Ernest Jones. I said, imagine living in a world where Ernest Jones, this isn't like the first Ernest Jones tweet that you see. And it was like some diamond ring or something. But nah, man, freaking Ernest. Let's go.
I mean, it's him and it's Aaron Donald. That Rams team's probably going to go about 4-13, 5-12.
Why are they not bringing anybody in?
Here's what they want to do.
DeMarcus Robinson, old hard hands.
Do they have their first?
No.
They don't?
That's gone in the golf deal. Their 24 first is gone.
Oh, man.
So I think what they're trying to do is just get some of the dead money off the books, try to catch a couple diamonds in the rough with these 45 to 50 rookies they brought in.
Rams fans need to be prepared for 2024.
Yes.
Stafford is not going to be there. Cooper Kupp, there's a chance he's not going to be there. Aaron Donald will not be there. All the big names. I don't know who's going to put butts in seats. Maybe Ernest Jones.
Maybe Caleb Williams.
Yeah, maybe. Or Stetson Bennett.
If they have their first.
Bennett Stetson.
They have to maybe sell their soul to get their first.
I don't even know what his first name is. Bennett?
Stetson Bennett?
Oh, so I'd have had it right the
yes,
first
you
time.
had it. I don't know what Stetson Bennett's first name is. It's probably Sir Stetson Bennett or something. Well, let's move to
looks good in camp.
Another linebacker that we are very excited about. And I think he's probably slightly ahead of Ernest Jones, maybe because he's a little bit younger here. Addy, I'll kind of let you give the justification here because I think this linebacker is a little more projection. I see him and Brian Asamoah as sort of two sides of the same coin in that we are projecting a lot, but there's no reason not to. It's Nakobe Dean of the Philadelphia Eagles, 22.5 years old. He only played in 3% of the snaps last season, 34 snaps, 0 games started, 0.9 points per game. He had an 87.9 pass rush grade, but toss it all out because we know nothing about what Nakobe Dean can do. Unlike Brian Asamoah, who got like a little bit of playing time at the end of the season, Nakobe Dean really did not. So, Addy, what makes you notch him here at 16th overall?
Just hearing the offseason news and everything from OTAs and just kind of their plans for him. He's already wearing the green dot.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's become much more of a leader in his second year. So those are things that you love to see. And, I mean, just it's a wide open depth chart. It's Nicholas Morrow that's there.
Yep.
I mean, we're not scared of that at all. So, yeah, it's just all lining up for Nakobe Dean. I do think Nakobe Dean is one of those players that could potentially score very well. Just bundle up the stats, just like TJ Edwards kind of did. I think you could see kind of a similar type of production. So yeah, I mean, if he does that, then wheels up because people are already excited about Nakobe Dean. He was someone that everyone loved in last year's draft. I mean, remember, this was a guy that he went, I think he was the first linebacker. Yes. He went in the first round in our RSO
109
draft.
Or 110 maybe.
But it was the norm to see him listed as like LB1, LB2, going like no later than usually like he was like being drafted in the second round. I think he was floating around in third in some leagues, but for the most part, he was a second round rookie pick. So people like this guy. People are excited about this guy. If everything does fall into place, he's going to be one of the most valuable linebackers in IDP.
I agree.
He's fallen in these BBs, though. I just took him at the 704 in Best Ball 41, right after Rashawn Gary and right before Troy Andersen. So
that's pretty solid. I like that.
The offseason hype's going to pick up a little bit. Nakobe's he's gonna trend more towards the 5th round, I feel like.
Yeah, he's sitting at
Cole Holcomb, CJ Mosley, Tremaine Edmunds.
Yeah, he's right above those guys. He's LB 24 right now, just above Jordyn Brooks and Eric Kendricks. He's up 5.5 spots, so he's at 62.2 overall in the last 5 drafts. So looking at about the end of the 5th round.
So just like right there with Ernest.
Yep.
So yeah, and those guys are similar, right? Similar upsides, I think.
Yeah, Ernest is LB 29. He's LB 24.
Yep.
But both are trending up. I think people are starting to wise up. Once we start getting these training camp reports and these preseason games, these two dudes are going to skyrocket. So if you want to get in on Ernest or Asamoah or Nakobe Dean, do it now because the price is only going to be going up.
There's just a lot of situations that, there's a lot of competition at linebacker. And those situations you just mentioned,
not.
There's not.
Yep. Don't be scared off of Nakobe Dean because of
you haven't seen it.
Or the guy they brought in,
Nicholas Morrow,
who's a great value. I think he's going to be a nice value, but don't be scared off. Nakobe Dean is the LB1.
Yeah.
I did hear some Christian Ellis hype.
Oh gosh.
Just stop it. Are you going to tell me next year it's some Davion Taylor hype?
What about some Andrew Van Ginkel? You guys want to talk about it?
Yeah, I saw. I almost retweeted that tweet with just no.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I know. That was. I think I'm the only person that has ever shown
Any love.
Yeah.
Even his family is just like, man, this David Long guy, Andrew, you got to be excited, buddy.
First time his name's ever been tweeted.
But people, if you guys don't understand what's going on,
All right.
Andrew Van Ginkel has switched to inside linebacker. So that's kind of relevant. It's only David Long. It's only Jerome Baker there. They have a new DC.
Oh, here we go.
You never
More
know.
David Long hate.
Maybe that
Wasn't here.
It was a tiny little contract. It was a tiny little contract.
It was. I just don't know. Fangio for me is the biggest wild card in terms of new defensive coordinators. I really don't know what he's going to do with these assets. I'm very excited. I will say, great episode. If you're into IDP, which you are if you're listening to this show, check out the Athletic Football Show's episode a couple weeks ago, new defensive coordinators, and they talked about, do you know who's going to eat in this Cleveland defense with Jim Schwartz coming in is Myles Garrett.
No, that's wrong.
And your boy, Obo, is someone they called out more than Zadarius Smith.
Interesting.
They thought Zadarius Smith was going to kick inside and be the third option, and you were going to have Myles Garrett and Obo pinning their ears back and going after the quarterback.
I don't know about that. I don't know about
So
that.
we'll see.
Nate.
Shout out in the comments if you're into the show, but you don't like IDP.
Yeah. Are you our family? No, you're not, because our family doesn't even listen to this. So let's move to number 15, which may be
This spicy boy.
This is Spicy Boy just because we saw a lot of those other rookie linebackers in the other episode. But here at 15, we got Drew Sanders of the Denver Broncos. Addie's rubbing them hands together. 21.5 years old. Of course, had outrageous college production. You've heard us talk all about it. Go back and listen to all the rookie content that we did. You know all about why the Broncos took Drew Sanders where they did, what that means for Baron Browning, what that means for Josie Jewell and Alex Singleton. Addie, I don't like Drew Sanders for redraft. There's no reason not to like this guy. This is a potential LB1 sitting here for the Denver Broncos.
Yes. I mean, the depth chart, I guess, looks scary, if you're a big Alex Singleton guy. And Josie Jewell is there right now, which both those guys are going to be better than Drew Sanders next year. So, yeah, Drew Sanders is not a 2023 play. But 2024, when Josie Jewell is gone, Singleton, who knows, I could see him kind of being phased out or being cut after that second year. Drew Sanders is going to be a monster.
Skyrocket.
Yes. He gets dual designation on sleeper, so that's just a nice little added bonus. But, yeah, everything that we want in the linebackers there with Drew Sanders. This is a guy that is 6'4", 235, ran a 4.66 40, so 8.97 RAS score. The college production was great. Just what we want. This is like I love these little sexy type linebackers, right? That do a lot of stuff that can get you a lot of tackles, get you big plays, get you sacks. And that's what Drew Sanders is going to be. So I'm in. I think, he's still a pretty decent little buy right now too. Because the price probably isn't this. Probably isn't. Most people probably don't value him.
People are bummed out that he went to the Broncos and isn't really going to play that much in 2023, short of injury.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, don't miss the point here, Bobo.
The vets are so cheap. You shouldn't be concerned about this. Like, you can always go farm a linebacking team or a stable of linebackers in the season
off waivers. Yeah, don't miss the boat here. This is talking dynasty, and I don't disagree that Drew Sanders has a top 15 dynasty outlook, especially when you read the tea leaves and say Josie Jewell might be gone, Singleton might be gone, and it may be Drew Sanders sitting there atop LB Mountain in Denver.
Nah, I still stand behind my mocks. Drew Sanders was my LB1, even with Jack Campbell having the good, landing spot there in Detroit. Campbell may be better year one, but I think over the long haul, I think Drew Sanders might have a better overall outlook, overall opportunity, better RAS, more athletic. I don't know what else to say about Drew Sanders. I really like him. I think he's being slept on right now. And Adam's exactly right about vets. You can go get a Levante David. You can go get a Rashaan Evans is probably on waivers right now. You can go get so many of these guys right now that are over the age of 28 for basically a fourth or a fifth or on waivers or in some type of a small deal. So, yeah, don't worry. If you're banking on any of these rookie IDPs outside of, I don't know, which rookie IDPs are we really thinking?
You shouldn't be banking on any of them for
Jack
2023.
Campbell, is he going to play week one?
I think so.
Probably.
Am I banking
Maybe.
on it? No.
So, all right.
Will Anderson?
Yeah.
Tyree Wilson?
Okay.
I mean, we'll see.
But then outside of that, Miles Murphy's probably not starting week one.
Lucas Van Ness probably not
No.
going to be.
I mean, you're going to get some rotational
I'm
aspects.
not saying those dudes don't have value, but I'm not
like George Karlaftis last year.
I'm not banking on or depending on any of these rookies for 2023.
Yeah.
Here's what could happen though. What if there's an injury to Singleton or
true.
Jewell, and then you got no chance at getting in on Drew Sanders?
It's-
None.
And he may not come off the field once they get this guy on it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Because I think he's pretty ready made to hit the field running and not lose that opportunity. Speaking of opportunity, number 14, a guy I'm very excited about. I took him in that most recent best ball we've been talking about. It's Troy Andersen of the Atlanta Falcons, 24.2 years old. He played 43% of snaps last year, 481 snaps total, 17 games played, 5 games started, 5.8 points per game. Projection again, Addy, but we know that Rashaan Evans is gone. Quay Walker, who cares? They brought in Caden Ellis. Sounds like it's going to be time for Caden Ellis and Troy Andersen to get after it there in Atlanta.
Yes. Troy Andersen, just another one of these types that I'm going to fall in love with, was a 10 RAS.
Perfect RAS.
Yes. He's 6'3", 234, ran a 4.42 40, had a 6.77 3-cone. This was a guy that was formerly a quarterback and a running back. So he was late to transition, but once he did transition, his best year of stat-wise was 147 tackles, 14 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 INTs, and 7 pass breakups his senior year at linebacker. That was at Montana State. So, yeah, small school. This guy is definitely like raw, like a project type, but, geez, if it does work out for him and he can, give us some type of stat line similar to that, boy.
It's beautiful. And listening to that same episode, they mentioned the Falcons' defense. Low-key, like what this team is putting together, bringing in Calais Campbell, bringing in David Onyemata, Caden Ellis, Jesse Bates. I mean, there is some serious juice now with this defense where there wasn't before. You add that to Grady Jarrett. You add it to Troy Andersen.
Richie Grant.
You got A.J. Taylor.
Terrell.
A.J. Terrell. Yeah, you got Okereke. They traded for the Lions cornerback as well. Jeff Okudah is there.
Yeah.
Top 4 pick, I think, overall.
Yeah.
Did you say Jesse Bates?
Yeah, Jesse Bates coming in on like the $72 million deal. So this team,
It's a fun team.
If the quarterback there, Desmond Ridder, can play the guitar, this is a division winner, kind of a spicy wild card team.
But even not. I mean, they got Bijan now, and they got the Arthur Smith. He knows a thing or two about.
Just snap it to Bijan every time.
He knows about relying on those running backs.
Yes, he
so,
does.
I mean, that's an interesting team.
Yes, and I love the discount you can get on Troy Andersen and
Kyle Pitts, Drake London.
Yeah, and
Solid.
In ADP right now, Troy Andersen LB 33. What do you think? I don't think the market's caught up on Andersen right now either.
No,
I think he's still being slept on.
He could also be a top 12 linebacker this year.
And I don't think you'd have to pay a lot to go get him.
No.
Could you get him for a third right now?
It depends on the
Not for
depends on
me.
the manager.
Yeah.
Some managers are kind of keen to.
I think most people have Troy Andersen or
They know.
pretty
Kinda
hip.
know.
The trend there,
Yeah.
They didn't just stumble backwards into Troy Andersen like, who's
Yeah.
this
Who's this guy?
Anderson guy with SEN at the end of his name? What a weirdo.
Who's going to produce more points in 23, him or Ellis, though?
That's tough. I love both those guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's kind
Ellis
of a,
probably off the back of the big plays.
yeah.
kind of a TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmunds kind of question. It's just like, well, what do you like?
If Ellis gets that playing time he got last year,
Yeah.
that second half of the season with New Orleans, it's going to be him.
Yeah.
LB 49. I'll take Caden Ellis.
But Troy Anderson's going to have more tackles.
Yes.
He's
So it
not
depends
gonna
on
have
your
the sacks.
scoring, the big play scoring. I think Caden Ellis, if he can stay healthy, is going to get all the opportunity in the world. Coming over on a fairly big deal, like a 3-year, $27 million deal, I think it was, with his former defensive coordinator. Ryan Nielsen was saying, Anyamata, come on over. Caden Ellis, come on over. I need you guys to implement my defense. So
What's Troy Anderson's ADP right now in basketball?
33.
And what's Ellis's?
49.
Yeah, give me Ellis.
I think
Oh,
give me
yeah.
Ellis. Yeah, especially in big play.
Especially, yeah, big play. I mean, how many sacks did he have? 7?
Yeah, he's not going no LB 49 in any of these drafts I'm in.
Yeah.
People just in there busting your head, though.
I think so.
You're going to
Yeah,
be
they're
like,
just
more
trying to
like
show you.
LB
It's like,
4 to 9.
let me strut in here, like when your kid's trying to, like, punk your dad, and you're like, I gotta, Adam's in this draft. I gotta show. I
Yeah.
gotta show up and show out. I gotta
Yeah.
impress Dad in this
Gotta
draft.
take all the sexy babies.
Yeah, all of his favorite linebackers.
That was a good Ashton Kutcher reference there, Josh.
What's that?
Punked?
Punked? Oh man,
That was a great show.
yeah, you would love that show. A lot of awkward comedy with the hidden camera setup there. Hate those type of shows. Don't hate Pete Werner though. Sitting here at 13, New Orleans Saints with Caden Ellis departed. It is the declining Demario Davis with Pete Werner. I think there's a reason that you see Pete Werner here. I don't think we had Demario anywhere on these rankings at all.
He's 35.
Yeah, I don't think for redraft or dynasty, I think I would take Pete Werner ahead of Demario Davis right now. It's wheels all the way up, 24 years old, 78% of snaps. Only played in 12 games, 11 started, 9.8 points per game. Did get banged up and opened the door for Caden Ellis to come in, but now the dance floor is all his, Eddie, and I expect him to do a little boogie this season.
Yep, did get banged up, was never the same after that because he kept coming in and out of the lineup. So that's why that point per game number dipped. But yeah, I mean, you laid it out perfectly. A guy that was a former second round pick for him, so this is really his first chance at large opportunity. So yeah, I love Pete Werner. I mean, he's in this similar vein as Troy Andersen, Drew Sanders.
I agree.
All of them white.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on here, Bobby?
No, that's a good point about very much like Campbell, Drew Sanders.
You almost said Jack Sanborn, didn't you?
I almost said
He
no,
literally
I
cannot.
almost said Jack Sanders is what I said.
Jack Sanders. Went to high school with that guy.
I did, and Drew Campbell.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pete Werner is exactly the same situation that we're going to be having the conversation with some of these other linebackers for next year. It's wheels up because you're exactly right. I think even Demario Davis saw some weird playing time late last season, maybe dip a little bit. Maybe I'm just making that
I just
up,
remember
but-
Macri talking about his tackle rate. I think it was abysmal. Like if you
gotcha.
go back and listen to the buys and sells from the NFC.
He's always had a pretty low tackle rate.
Yeah.
But he gets the big plays.
That's right.
But we know how those are.
He's
not
also
always the
35.
stickiest.
So
Right.
how many big
Yeah.
plays is he going to be
Right.
getting at our age?
The floor is going to fall out at some point.
Yes. Well, we're getting down into some juicy players. So you're not going to hear us picking a lot of nits at this point. And I want to get to this next guy because we've already brought him up. And we have these sort of positional, alignment questions with Zaven Collins, Arizona Cardinals, 24.1 years old, 98% of snaps, 16 games played, 12.6 points per game. He had 100 total tackles, 11 TFLs, 2 sacks, 4 QB hits, 6 pass breakups. He had a defensive touchdown. Addy, are you more or less excited about Zaven in 2023 if he does get a big complement of edge snaps?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'm more excited, right? I feel like
They did the linebacker thing with him last season, and it was okay. 12.6 points per game,
That's
100
fine.
total tackles, 2 sacks, 11 TFLs.
yeah.
That's pretty solid.
But could this be a type of guy that gets like 14, 15 sacks in a season? I
Mm,
don't know. It happened with Hassan Reddick.
yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible. It's
I mean,
in the
he-
range of outcomes.
He's built like your, stereotypical edge rusher. He's 6'5", 260.
I think we would have to see a Micah Parsons type of switch, though, where it's like no more
Full-time.
linebacker snaps for you. You're
Yeah.
going full-time to the edge, which talk about a team that needs pass rushing help.
Yeah.
When we're debating Myjai Sanders versus,
Cam Sample.
I think that's why you're seeing him, make that switch is because it's like actual need for them now. Like,
Yeah.
you really, really need just some bodies down there.
And where is the head coach coming over from? Philadelphia, where they had a guy like Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
So I
And-
could see it.
And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I'm just kind of interested to see, like, maybe who plays that role for him. Is it Buda Baker?
Is Buda Baker on that team?
Is it Jalen
Peter
Thompson?
Porter, I saw.
Yes, he did.
Is it Isaiah Simmons? I don't know. I feel like there is a ton of unknowns for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not putting anything in pen.
More or less excited about Zaven. Let's say maybe not the full Micah switch, but let's say he plays 60% of his snaps on the edge, 50% of his snaps on the edge. More or less excited.
Probably more.
I'm less just because you're probably getting him as an LB still. When he makes the switch to defensive end or
Yeah.
edge in your platform, I think I'd be more excited.
But because of our ungodly points credited for our big plays,
It's fundamentally stupid.
it's
Yeah.
it's really dumb, which makes
We're all a
Zaven-
bunch of cowards around this
which
table, that's
makes
for sure.
Zaven really
Yeah, we have
worth
no
it.
idea what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I would say, I don't know. I don't know that I want him in this transition year unless they do just totally unleash him. But if he has this kind of half and half role, it's like if they go all
Yeah.
in and it's like, Zaven, you are an edge player now.
But see, I kind of like the half and half idea, just because like I would love to see like someone have like a nice little tackle floor with the big plays potentially. Like, could he be like a Khalil Mack type where he gets like 80 to 90 tackles and then 8 to 10 sacks?
If we get that kind of output, I am very
That's
happy
kinda
with
fun.
Zaven Collins. Yeah, that's very spicy.
Nice floor, nice ceiling.
Yep.
I would love. We just never see anyone used in that way. Like Micah Parsons was the closest we were going to get to that, I think. But now they've gone
Full edge. Yeah, no more linebacker for
Yeah.
Micah.
So I mean, there's a chance with Zaven Collins that could be how they use him. But yeah,
And he actually was surprisingly good in coverage, 70.1 grade. This is his best grade by PFF.
But
so,
then is Simmons going to play the slot, and then Kaiser White is your
yes,
I have no idea. Cardinals are where if
You
if
could
you want to be
see-
misused and miscast, that's where you need
please
to
go there. I think
Yeah.
Owen Papo, was that the Cardinals
Yeah,
rookie?
he's there now too.
He could
It's
get
going to
some
be
run.
Owen Papo and Kaiser White, as we all expected.
It might be. Don't you quit it.
Don't you write off. I'm not writing off. There's a reason I brought him up. I think you should be paying attention to Owen Papo because it could be Zaven off the edge, Isaiah Simmons as a slot corner, and then Kaiser White and Owen Papo are your two line. This team's going to suck.
Yes.
This is
Yeah,
the
they're gonna be bad.
number one projected overall pick next year is the Arizona Cardinals. The number two pick in the draft next year is the Arizona Cardinals because they own the Texans pick.
Wow.
So there is a chance they go Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., and they have their dynamic duo for the next, decade.
See
Where's
you,
Kyler
Nuke.
go?
See you, Kyler.
That's a great question. Who-
Probably the Colts.
yeah, don't start. My dad is buying us all Anthony Richardson jerseys for Father's Day. So
Rich.
I swore after Luck I'd never get a jersey, but hey, I'm not getting it. It's coming my way.
What are you getting your father for Father's Day? Why is he the one having to get all the gifts?
I don't know. He's never. I don't think we got.
Yeah.
Did we get Father's Day gifts last year? It's like, Dad, I should be getting you something.
Hold up, Dad. Hey, let me call my pops real quick. Hey,
Yeah.
Dad, Josh getting a jersey. What you
right.
getting me?
You're getting a firm smack in the face for asking me that question.
Get you an Ernest jersey from Dad.
Ernie
Dude,
J.
ask him if you get the Ernest jersey.
Daddy can have an Ernest jersey.
Dude, I bet you
Just
Ernest.
ask him that question in public.
Ernest is probably a jersey you got to go and make.
You got to do a custom jersey.
Yeah.
Yes. Make sure you get the right number.
Yeah.
I got you a custom jersey
You
once.
did. That little Cato June tweet. Shout out Cato June was blowing up on the Twitter today. People were mad bored apparently.
Yeah, people were excited about Cato.
Cato July, as
Cato
you wrote on
July.
the jersey. I thought, oh man, they got me a jersey. I think it was for my birthday, and then it was a white T-shirt with Sharpie written on it that said July. So that was cool. It was a really fun, not scarring at all moment in my formative years. But let's talk about another former Colts
Josh.
linebacker. No, you don't. Bobby Okereke here at number 11. Look, nothing warms my heart more than
name.
what has happened with Bobby O this offseason. I heard that, Bobby. I like this Bobby as well. I like this
Yeah.
Bobby here on the screen. New York Giants, 26.9 years old, 4-year, $40 million deal. 85% of snaps, 968 snaps total. 12.6 points per game. I've got him as a top 12 LB for this season. I like the outlook for Dynasty as well. Should be super solid, Bobo.
I hate how this has really worked out for you, Josh.
I know you do.
You know, it really chaps my tail. Really pisses me off.
All right, Adam, what do you think about Bobby O? I don't think I'm getting this Bobby to endorse his namesake.
I like Bobby O. I'll be honest though, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'd rather prefer like I prefer like the Pete Warners, the Troy Andersons, the Nakobe Deans, honestly, over Bobby O.
I think I like where you have Bobby O just because I think there's something to be said for certainty. We know Bobby O, even though he lost playing time last season, the Giants clearly like him. He's a little more proven commodity to me.
There have been some trash linebackers there ever since Blake Martinez.
Right, exactly. And like, how many times have we seen these highly paid linebackers get cut? Like, it ain't no big deal to throw these contracts around because they got so many outs. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So there is that. There's that worry. Like, I mean, maybe that deal is more of like a 2-year type. Maybe all these big deals that got handed out to linebackers this offseason.
Every deal is about half the length of what it actually
exactly.
Appears. Nobody's going to see the end of their contract.
So I mean, they're probably a little more risky than we think. They probably don't have as long a leash as we think. So. Yeah.
I don't think they're as risky as the guys above them, especially the Troy Andersen, Nakobe Deans type. Now, if you want to put Pete Warner ahead of Bobby O, I could see that.
Okay, yeah.
Because he's a little bit younger, right? Because he's, 24. Bobby O's 26.9. I could totally see flip-flopping those guys. But
like, I'm probably not going to be taking Bobby O in a startup.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'll take Troy
That's
Andersen.
That's just not the type of guy that you like in a startup, though.
Right, exactly. But you're going to have to spend a top pick for him now.
Yeah, he's LB 17 right now.
Yeah.
Man,
so
he's being called to be a big dog there in New York. I hope that works out for him.
I've got him, I think, top 12, top 13 in my redraft rankings, but you're not getting a lot of a discount here.
This is a big change for a guy who was benched in like week, what week was it last year?
Yeah, it was late in the season.
Yeah, now you're leading the defense. I mean, in New York, I don't know. It's a lot to ask.
Well, when he's a top 12 LB at the end of the season,
Hope
I
it
get
works
to rub
out
it in
for you,
y'all's
Josh.
face.
Hey, I tell you though, that name does give me faith.
Yeah,
Does give you chills.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Does give you chills. Well, let's talk about another guy who is still somehow only 19 years old. No, he is actually 25.1 now. It is Tremaine Edmunds at number 10, Chicago Bears, 4 years, $72 million deal, 92% of snaps in 2022, 13 games played, 12.3 points per game. I think you've come around a little bit on Tremaine Edmunds, Addy.
It's just a beautiful situation for him. That's every linebacker that has had opportunity there in Chicago has performed very well. And I think Tremaine could see, from a points per game standpoint, I think he could see his best season.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm in on Tremaine a little bit, probably more so than TJ Edwards.
What's his best ball ADP, Josh?
I believe he was LB 19.
Okay.
But I'll pull it back up here. That was a question we had in the free agency recap podcast that we did. We put out a short about it. It was TJ Edwards versus Tremaine Edmunds. You're coming down Edmunds. Where are you coming down?
I'm probably Edmunds too. TJ Edwards is getting kind of elevated in some of these best balls.
Yeah, he's LB 18. Edmunds is.
I don't hate that.
What's Edwards?
Edwards is probably not too far off that. So we don't want Mike Edwards. We want TJ Edwards is LB 12. So you got about a 6 linebacker difference there.
I do feel like Edmunds, you can get him as a value though sometimes. I know you got him as LB 18, but when I've got him, I've been getting him like in the 7th round occasionally. He'll slip through some of these spots.
Yes, TJ Edwards is at the end of the 3rd. He's 36.2 ADP. And then if you go down to Edmunds, it is 47.8. So that's closing in about a round later.
Here's the only worrisome thing about both of those guys this year is that defensive line is going to be porous this year. There are going to be running backs running clean through some, just
those guys are going to
holes.
mop up tackles.
So maybe give me TJ Edwards because of that. I don't know. It's a toss-up. I don't really care, to be honest with you. Either one of them's fine.
Yeah, the latest that he has gone is 81 overall. So that is close to a 7th round pick.
Yeah, and in that range, I love that.
All day.
That's
all
probably
day.
me.
But yeah, dynasty-wise, I could see why you would have him ahead of TJ Edwards. Obviously, 25.1 years old, highly paid. I think he's going to be in Chicago at least for the next 2 years. They have an out in 2026. So, I mean, if you're just looking at the contract and them not wanting to eat money, you've got a very long runway with Tremaine Edmunds there in Chicago.
Yeah, and let's just, remember why we like Tremaine in the first place. This is a guy that 6'4 and a half, 253, 34 and a half inch arms, 4'5", 440, was a 9.67 RAS score. He was insanely productive in college. As a sophomore at Virginia Tech, he had 94 tackles, 16 and a half tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks as a sophomore. He averaged 8.2 tackles per game in college, 1.27 tackles for loss. So, I mean, just the box checker, right? And then he looks sick as hell. He has the dreads, gets the huge contract. Yeah, I mean, he's what we want. He's what we like at linebacker, and he's gonna have a decent old leash because of that contract. So yeah, I think we could see Tremaine Edmunds being relevant for another 5 years.
Yeah. So here's a great question, Bobo. Let's move down to number 9. Logan Wilson, Cincinnati Bengals, 26.9 years old, 97% of snaps, 15 games played, 12.6 points per game in 2022. Would you have Logan Wilson here or Tremaine Edmunds ahead of him for Dynasty?
I would have Logan Wilson.
You would have Logan Wilson ahead. I
because-
think I might flip these two. I think I might have Tremaine just a smidge higher.
Now, I will say the Cincinnati Bengals money is a little weird. So, the future with Logan Wilson is definitely a little more ambiguous.
Yeah,
than
he's
it
a
is with Tremaine.
He's a UFA in 2024.
Yeah, so that makes it a little bit tough. But I don't know. I like Logan Wilson. I can't help it. I know there have been some times of some peaks and some valleys, but Logan Wilson has kind of come around to be a relatively solid linebacker for the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals, money-wise, are going to be able to keep him with Burrow and the 2 wide receivers, if that's what they're trying to do. Bengals heads may know more than I do about that whole situation. But, yeah, as gross as Logan Wilson has been over the past, give me Logan Wilson.
I don't think they're going to be able to keep a lot of these defensive guys because they're about to have to pay a lot of offensive money. Okay, here's a question. 12.6 points per game for Logan Wilson in 2022, 12.3 for Tremaine Edmunds in 2022. Do you like Logan Wilson over under 12.6 points per game, assuming health in 2023?
Over.
I like that, maybe slightly over.
Yeah, I like it over as well. He started off last year really slow and then came on down the stretch. So I'm hoping for, similar production that second half.
But here's the question that really intrigues me. Tremaine Edmunds, over under 12.3 points per game. Give me
Over.
all the way over.
Yeah.
So I feel the ceiling is a little bit higher for Edmunds going into this season. Logan Wilson is going to be solid. I see him similar to the Fred Warners of like very solid real-life NFL linebacker, the Matt Milanos, right?
Yep.
I want him as my LB2, though. Don't want him as my LB1. And if you want Logan Wilson, you're going to have to pay up because he is going right now as the LB11.
Wow.
So
You don't want to pay up for any of these linebackers.
it's funny how many of these linebackers in these best ball drafts, I'm like, no, thank you.
Nope.
I'd rather go defensive line and just scoop up the value later in drafts.
Yep.
So Logan Wilson just falls into that bucket for me of like LB2 that's being drafted as an LB1. So I'm never going to have any shares of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's probably not going to finish as an LB1. He
Yeah.
hasn't yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, 12.3 points per game. I feel like that's
not-
probably around like his career average.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at the last 3 years, 12.6 in 2022, 13.3 in 2021, 6.7 in 2020. So at this point, he's points per game wise, he's just been a back end LB2 so far.
It was the same question we had with JOK. What's the ceiling? It's not very high. The floor is pretty safe.
Yeah.
So
We do like the safety.
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
you like security,
these linebackers they come and they go. So I mean that is why when you have one that's actually good that's going to stick around, yes, they're going to be valued.
all right, Addy. Who's up next here on the list? Number 8. You've had to take this guy off into the other part of the room, have a conversation with him about being a big boy
Yep.
this season. Who's the next guy on our list?
Yep. Big baby Quay Walker, 23.1 years of age. He was the 22nd overall pick in last year's draft. Kind of underwhelming last year, 52.4 PFF grade. But he was pretty solid, for IDP, 12.3 points per game. That's a pretty good little debut for a rookie. It was another guy that was extremely athletic, 9.65 RAS score. Didn't really have the production that we look for in college, but he played at Georgia, and none of these guys had really much production in college that went to Georgia. So we don't really look too much into that. And then again, like he was productive once we saw him in Green Bay. So I mean that's enough. But yeah, I mean I like Quay Walker. I mean Devondre Campbell obviously still there. I think we like Devondre Campbell as the better value in redraft, of course.
Yes.
But, I mean, Quay Walker does have that, like, Devin White type upside where he could be a guy that gets 140 tackles and then makes a lot of splash plays. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to, not be excited about Quay Walker just because he has that upside that not a lot of these guys do, right? Like you mentioned, Logan Wilson, Tremaine, Edmunds, Bobby Okereke, like, those guys have shown, like, their ceiling is probably going to be, like, 14 points per game at best. So Quay Walker, he could be like a 16, 17
I was going to say,
points per
could
game
he
type.
flirt with 16 plus points per game?
Yes.
I
That's
think
in his range of outcomes.
I mean, 121 total tackles, 5 TFLs, 4 QB hits, 1.5 sacks. That's nothing to sneeze at for a rookie season, right? So, and this is a good defense, Bobo. Now, we'll say the market is in on Quay Walker, LB8 right now in redraft. It's probably, LB9. It's probably one of the few players that their dynasty rank and their redraft ADP is almost identical.
It's the draft. It's where he went to college. SEC ball is on TV every single Saturday. Everybody watches it. Everybody knows where he went to school. Unlike, Devin Lloyd, who played Utah, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Utah State.
Utah State, I think it was.
Some of these guys who play at some of these smaller schools just have a little less, shine on them than the Chase Youngs who at OSU everybody saw every single weekend. So I honestly think that has a lot to do with, some of these, Quays getting drafted. Yeah, we saw a pretty good year out of him last year, but it was nothing that would really make me want to grab him at LB9 in best ball for this season.
No. Especially when you get Devondre Campbell.
People are going to get
15
tired of
picks
us being
later.
Like, LB what? That's too early.
Yeah.
LB where? Oh, my God.
Basically, we're going to hate every top 15 linebacker.
Yeah, Devondre Campbell is LB28. And it's just like, we love linebackers. All these guys are sexy. Much more interested for dynasty purposes because
we're going to have to do the opposite.
Quay Walker performed well enough to shoot his ADP up to a top 10 pick.
We're going to have to do the episode of what you said at the end of last podcast, the gross but startable.
Yes. Hold your nose and start them linebackers.
Make a lineup out of people
tons,
drafted super late.
There's tons of those, though.
Yeah.
Every year.
But Quay feels pretty safe. I mean, I think I still would rather have Devondre because I see them pretty similar. But this dude gave you everything you wanted, minus the temper tantrums.
Quay could take a step this year. He's one of the linebackers that could take a step in the big play department.
He could take a step this year, and also in 2024, Devondre Campbell's probably gone.
Yeah.
And Quay Walker, 23.1 years old.
Yep.
Still a young man. So
playing good young too.
Nothing to dislike about Quay Walker aside from some decision making, which I think he's even addressed, like, I got to clean it up. I got to be a man.
It happens.
Yeah. Sometimes you just push a ref or
we don't have
or a trainer or whatever it was. Sometimes you just have to push an innocent bystander.
Sometimes you just push a ref.
Who amongst us has not pushed a trainer?
Sometimes you make mistakes.
That's true.
It happens.
We've all made mistakes around this table.
Yeah.
Now, Eddie, this next guy, I'm not saying it would be a mistake to, pay up for this guy in a dynasty startup, but he is one of the more curious inclusions for me here high on this list. Number 7 is Dre Greenlaw, San Francisco 49ers. We're going to talk about another 49er here in just a little bit. We got Dre at number 7, 25.7 years old. He's be a UFA in 2025, potential out in 2024, 88% of snaps, 15 games played, 13.2 points per game. I think about Dre Greenlaw more for redraft. Why do you like him so much for dynasty?
I think he's kind of a baller, dude. I mean, San Fran likes him. They gave him a nice little extension. And then he's gonna get another contract. Like once he becomes a free agent, he's gonna be the same thing we saw with Aziz Al-Shir. He's gonna get another opportunity somewhere. But he's been good. I mean, look at the PFF grades last year: 81.2 PFF grade, 69.5 the year before that. So, there's not a lot of linebackers that do that. I mean, those are really good grades for a linebacker. But I mean, you just watch Dre Greenlaw. The dude just makes plays, and he makes clutch plays too. So, I'm a big fan of Dre. The points per game, I mean, it's what we look for. 13.2 points per game last year, and that was with a slow start to the season. And then 2021, he averaged 14.2 points per game. And then 2020, it was 9.9 points per game. So he just continues to get better. And yeah, I mean, I think that this is I think he's a great buy because, like you kind of mentioned, like this was surprising. I think this is someone that is still kind of being slept on.
Yeah, and I will say LB15, Bobo.
Yeah,
I'm interested in Dre Greenlaw at those prices because you got Fred Warner going as LB5 right now.
Yeah,
Dre Greenlaw going as LB15. Would it surprise anyone around this table if Dre Greenlaw was better points per game wise than Fred in 2023?
And Fred played 90% of snaps last year. Dre played 88% of snaps, and now with Al-Shir gone, maybe you see Dre bump over that 90% snap share in 2023. Maybe you see both of them on the field pretty much all the time.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, Dre Greenlaw, good in the big play department, good tackler, just a baller. Adam's exactly right. I mean, you've got the sound tackling, defense leading Fred Warner there, and then Dre Greenlaw just gets to run around and be a maniac.
Best grade was coverage, 82.6. So
he's so good, and he slept on it. At LB15 in those best balls, give me that all day long.
127 total tackles, 3 TFLs,
Macri
2 forced fumbles, 1 defensive touchdown, 6 pass breakups. Pretty nice, Addy.
Looking back at his college production, this dude had 95 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack as a freshman at Arkansas. So,
wow,
pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I love Dre Greenlaw, man.
I was going to ask earlier if Tremaine Edmunds had an early breakout as a college player, but of course he did because I think he started playing college football at like 16 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
So whenever he broke out, he was a young breakout.
Sure.
So let's move to number 6 here. Mentioned on the episode with Kyle Bellyfuel and John Macri that you love when a father-son reunion gets to happen in the NFL. Dan Campbell gets to play with his son, Jack Campbell, 22.8 years old. He will be, will he be the LB1 for the Lions to start week 1? Maybe. Will he be the LB1 for the Lions to end the season? I think definitely. So Jack Campbell, 18th overall pick. We haven't talked about it yet on the show. No one has mentioned that the Lions went with the Cleveland Browns draft day movie strategy, Bobo, of going LB and running back in the first round, 2 positions that are typically not valued highly by other NFL teams. But my God, for IDP, that means a lot for Jack Campbell to get that first round draft capital.
Hey, who cares? Who cares, right?
Is this a new? Are you trying out some characters as
right?
well?
Who cares? Let's get a linebacker and a running back, eh? Who cares?
I love this Detroit accent that Bobby's decided to break out.
No, I love it, man.
Gabagool.
We were talking about it going into the draft that there's just not a ton of guys that we're just super hype about. I mean, outside of the Will Andersons, the defensive tackle Jalen Carter, you know, some of the quarterbacks. You feel like overdrafting and going and getting a guy that you like in Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs, who's about to light the world on fire here this season. I'm fine with that strategy with Detroit. I trust that Dan Campbell knows what he's doing, not only defensively but offensively as well. I think Jack Campbell could start week 1, and I think he's going to finish obviously week 18 as the LB1.
Yeah, he's going as LB23 right now. You talked about Tremaine Edmunds checks every single box for Dynasty linebackers. There is no box that Jack Campbell does not check, and I think the sky is the limit. We could be talking about him as a top 3 Dynasty linebacker as soon as next season, depending on how 2023 goes.
Yeah, I already got him as 6.
That's right.
I'll probably take some heat for that. But, I mean, it's a perfect fit, and he's like just the perfect type linebacker. Let's look at the measurables. 6'4.5", 250, 32-inch arms, 4'6'5", 40, 6'7", 4'3" cone, 37.5 vert, 9.98 RAS score.
This is a fast beef daddy.
Yes, college production was insane and very good. Averaged 8.8 tackles per game. Wasn't really making a lot of plays in the backfield, but that's no reason that can't happen at Detroit. Also, just a little note, that 6.74 3-cone, that usually translates to people that are very good at rushing the passer. So, I mean, that could be a thing that Jack Campbell could do at Detroit. We will find out. But, yeah, I mean, just also from like a culture fit, like it's just perfect.
It's
like,
so perfect.
It's perfect. And also I've been catching up on just all the happenings around the league and stuff, and hearing some really, really good things about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and just the energy he's going to bring to that Detroit defense. And they are flying around, having fun, talking shit. That team is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Also, I saw opening night. You guys see opening night?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the Chiefs and Lions, right? The Lions got the opening game of the season, y'all.
How much fun is that game?
That's going to be awesome. Jack Campbell making his debut under the lights, Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
Sign me up, man. I think that team is going to be much improved. I see them are they the favorites in the NFC North?
With the Vikings kind of tearing it all down? Yeah, I think so.
Packers going with Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if you looked in Vegas right now, I bet the Lions are the betting favorite. And you got to hope Jared Goff doesn't take a major step back.
Yeah.
But, shoot, I mean, they got the kid from Tennessee, Hendon Hooker, waiting in the wings. So
I don't think Goff's taking a step back.
I don't either.
I think you've got what you got in Goff.
And also, I mean, people aren't talking about Sam Laporta, who I think could be
Yes.
maybe the best tight end in the class. I mean, people are
It's a fun
sleeping
team.
on him. It's a fun team.
So Jack Campbell, I think he checks every box pre-draft, and then you drop him. He got literally the two biggest pieces we needed, draft capital and a good landing spot. He got the best possible landing spot with first-round draft capital. What more could you ask for? Like they mentioned on the Big Nickel episode, very interesting nugget out of the draft coverage. The Bucks were in on Jack Campbell. The Lions go with him at 18. They end up going Kalijah Cansey. So that it was not a total aberration that the Jack Campbell was going to be going at that part of the first round.
Other teams were definitely in on this guy. You know, and these teams are aware. I'm sure the Lions knew that they were about to get dunked on by this NFL media by taking this linebacker, but who cares?
I don't think the Lions care at all. I think they stick to their board. They're like the Seahawks, and Pete Carroll. They draft what their board says, and the rest of the league be damned.
Oh, no, the nerds hate it. Oh, no.
We're going to absolutely run it down your throat and stonewall you on defense.
And then Dan Campbell got punched in the nuts, right?
Wait, he got punched in the nuts?
Wasn't it? Or like somebody like backed a chair up into like...
Oh, draft night?
Yes.
Oh, man, that's unfortunate.
Did you not see that? I think there's like a video of it. Maybe not. I think they asked him, they were like, hey, man, you all right? Did you get hit? And he was like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Didn't feel anything.
They got too hype, I think, when they took Gibbs, and it kind of like...
Yeah, Dan Campbell's not feeling... He can't feel his face on draft night. He's way too hyped.
Sure.
These triple nitro cold brews he's drinking or whatever it is.
Oh, my gosh. It's insane.
300 milligrams of caffeine. Yeah, heart going like a hummingbird. Let's talk about the next San Francisco 49ers linebacker here at number 5. It is Fred Werner, 26.6 years old. He'll be a UFA in 2027, potential out next season. Last year played 96% of snaps, 17 games played, 13.1 points per game, 130 total tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks. He had 6 QB hits, a lot of blue, a lot of green on the PFF grades. Addy, you've previously said that Fred Werner is going to age very well in Dynasty, and I think that's reflected here, number 5 overall in your Dino ranks.
Yes. I mean, maybe the safest linebacker in IDP
because he's so good.
So good. Yeah, he's just so solid. You just know what you're going to get. Last year, 13.1 points per game. In 2021, it was 12.6. In 2020, it was 13.4. Tackle wise, in 2022, 130. In 2021, it was 137. In 2020, it was 125. Also, he gets tons of pass breakups just because he's actually good in coverage. So he's just safe and he is productive. Like there's not, I mean, 13.1. I know we do kind of scoff at that. We want the 14 to 16, but it's hard to find that 14 to 16 points
consistently
per game.
Every single year.
Yes.
He's never going to show up as a top 12 linebacker year over year. But
Maybe
he's going to show up as like top 15 year over year over year. which
I think he can go to another level. I think he can get to the 14.5, 15.
Yeah, there's so much
26 years
variation.
old.
Like, if you look at the consistency, I'm sure year to year for linebackers who pop up onto these top 12s out of nowhere every season, it's like, here's Fred Warner, just steady Eddie, right here in that LB, like, 10 to 15 range.
And the linebackers that are repeating are all going to be linebackers that you're like, oh, that's a damn good linebacker.
Yes.
And you can go back and look at the finishes for Fred Warner and be like, LB 10, LB 14, LB 15, LB 8, and be like, yeah, I just don't know about a top 12. But it's like, all right, let's go back and look at who was in front of Fred Warner in these weird years. There was a Frankie Luvu. There was a Zaire Franklin. There was a Malcolm Rodriguez, or not Malcolm Rodriguez, but in any of these tackle
total
guys,
question
Blake
marks.
Martinez, Jalen Smith.
All these guys that all of a sudden just come out of nowhere, like we're going to talk about in week 8, we're going to be like, wow, there's 4 or 5 guys that we didn't even have on our radar yet. But Fred Warner is, yes, that in and out weave of LB1. If Matt Milano is the picture of an LB2, Fred Warner is the picture of an LB1.
Yeah, you did good. You looked right at your camera. I didn't know what you were going for, and it scared me a little bit, but ultimately I think you nailed it. I don't know how you see now. You get to see now what I have to deal with.
Felt like I was getting my picture taken.
Yeah, you did. It's like picture day.
Good.
Yeah, I think Fred Warner, what you're paying for with the sticker price in Dynasty is the consistency.
Yeah.
Is the excellence, as the peace of mind to know, unlike, the guys that Adam just mentioned that were hot commodities at one point and get pushed off their job because they're not good at football. Fred Warner is going to be around for a very long time. He's going to be the Demario Davis, the Levante David, the Bobby Wagner.
I was just going to go there.
He's in that category of player. He's 26. You probably have 8 to 9 more years with Fred Warner as a highly productive IDP. That is why you pay the sticker price in Dynasty.
There it is.
Yeah.
No one is safer than Fred Warner.
Nobody.
Like, legitimately could play another 10 years.
You
and
want
be
this
fine.
generation's Bobby Wagner? Here he is.
Yep.
Wow.
So go get him.
I praise.
Not the next generation Bobby Wagner is Devin White, sitting here at number 4. And I feel like, Adam, he is here at this point on the list because he probably has another year, 2, 3 maybe years of relevance for IDP. And it's fireworks. I mean, it's the Jonathan Gannon pew, pew, pew meme where it truly is this guy can explode and win you a week. But he's going to burn bright and then flame out and be gone probably before he turns 30.
Yes. We're probably still chasing the 2020 production when he had 9 sacks, right? And he averaged 20.4 points per game that year. So since then, 2021, he averaged 13.6 points per game. And then in 2022, it was up to 15.1 points per game, which is great. That's solid.
great.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Totally take that.
96% of snaps, 17 games played.
He's a safe asset,
Yeah.
dude. And I know that the grades are not what you want, but there are some things that PFF cannot evaluate, and that's playmaking, that's leadership, energy, intangible type stuff.
Owning a horse.
Owning a
Ever
horse.
heard of it?
Devin
Way
White.
up
Devin White is, I think, one of those type players. Sure, he's going to have deficiency and stuff in coverage. He's going to look bad. He's going to, you can cut up clips and make him look like a moron.
Where he's running the complete wrong direction.
Right. But the guy makes plays.
Yeah.
And it seems like most of his teammates respect him. So that carries weight, and he's going to continue to get an opportunity, I think, even after Tampa Bay. Someone's probably going to trade for this guy.
That's the question. He has put out that he would like to be traded. That kind of flew under the radar in a little bit of the dead period of the NFL. He's due a contract. He's a UFA in 2024. So do they try to move this guy? Do you think he gets signed by the Bucs, or does he go somewhere else? Does someone trade for Devin White, Bobo? What's your temperature on Devin White's outlook there?
Well, you have to probably assume that Levante David is gone soon.
Yes, I think this is his last year playing football.
But it is
I had to
also
guess.
telling that they were on to Jack Campbell also. You know, they saw a need. So was it a need to replace Levante David or a need to go ahead and nudge Devin White out the door?
I think it may have been a need to replace both.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's That's a possibility.
It was going to be Jack Campbell and Savasier Dennis as the linebackers of the future there.
You know, so I mean, oddly enough, I mean, you could go into 2024 and you're looking at Patrick Queen being the starting linebacker for the Tampa Bay Bucks. You know, you could be looking at Jordyn Brooks, Isaiah Simmons, Willie Gay. A lot of these guys who, it sounds crazy right now, but in the offseason when a lot of these teams don't pick up the tab, they're left sitting out there. I think that's a real possibility. So I think if you haven't traded Devin White yet, you probably better hurry up in Dynasty. The clock's ticking.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad to hold him either.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get some explosive playmaking.
And what are you going to get for him? Is someone going to give you a first? Nope.
Nope.
Are you
But
gonna
don't
get a
you think
second?
that peak
Probably.
value, though, we're slow?
We're approaching.
It's not a dive, but it's a
Yes.
slow decline.
You're past, I think, his peak value.
But I mean, like
for
you're looking at
Dynasty.
a 2022 year of 184 tackles, 12 TFL,
184. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm at Foye. My bad.
was like,
124
oh my gosh.
total tackles, 8 TFLs, 5.5 sacks.
Yeah, he was good. 15.1
Does it
points per
get
game.
much better than 15.1? Even if he goes somewhere else, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's going to be around that.
Yeah, I think 15, 16 points per game,
I get-
depending on the sacks.
What you hope for is you hope for the PFF glow up like Roquan experienced.
Yes. Can you imagine if he has a Patrick Queen type year where suddenly it's like, hey, Devin White's kind of turned
Yeah.
it around a little
Yes.
bit. I see a lot of green.
Tremaine Edmunds as well, right?
Yes.
He was a guy that was always grading like trash, and then he
He had a nice year last year,
gets
PFF
paid.
wise.
And exactly like you're talking about the non-tangibles that PFF can't really come up with, the contract year stuff and the way players play in contract years
They
is
know.
something else that you can't take into
exactly.
account.
Especially if he gets the chip on his shoulder with Tampa Bay doesn't want to pay me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I know I got to go somewhere else. I'm going to
Yeah.
ball out and go
Yeah.
get, could he get the Tremaine Edmunds type of deal?
I would think so.
I think he'll be somewhere in between like a Bobby Okereke, Tremaine Edmunds sort of deal.
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't think he's getting $72 million.
I
I don't know.
Maybe.
He was a top 10 pick, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he's a Super Bowl champ. I mean,
Has a horse. Again, very important characteristic here.
let's see, what was he draft wise? He was the 5th overall pick.
Wow.
Was he 5th overall?
Yeah, 5th overall pick.
God, I forgot he was that high. So, yeah, he absolutely could get the Tremaine Edmunds deal then. So, we'll see. I've got him on the main roster in our XFFL league. I'm doing the franchise tag with him because I don't want the 4-year deal where I'm paying him $13 million or whatever in the 4th year.
And the other thing about that Bucks team is it's kind of like the Rams. They're going to be real
They're gonna be
bad.
Yes,
real,
they are.
real bad.
Yeah, I think stat wise, he could have an absurd stat line.
Could he have
Yeah.
his best? Well, his best year was absurd.
It's going to be hard to beat that 20
You're
points per
not
game.
going to have 20, but could he have 16?
Yeah.
Could he go north of 16 points per game this
Easily,
season? I think
easily.
so too. Well, let's talk about the guy you just mentioned, Bobo. Foyesade Oluokun of the Jacksonville Jaguars sits here at number 3 on the Dynasty ranks, 27.9 years old. He signed a 3-year, $45 million contract last offseason. UFA 2025, potential out next season. 99% of snaps, 1,145 snaps across 17 games played, y'all. 17.7 points per game. This dude was green across the board on PFF. 184 total tackles, 12 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 5 pass breakups, 9 QB hits. My God, Bobo, what else could we ask for out of Foyesade Oluokun?
I think that's what Jacksonville said last year, and I think that's why they probably reconfigured his contract to. I think there was a potential out after maybe 2023, so it was
Yes.
it was initially only really 2 years, and then maybe it was Foye's play, or maybe it was a little bit of Lloyd and Muma being like, "Oh gosh,
Are either of
they
these guys
might not
good?
be ready yet." But no, man, Foye, good for him, man. You got to feel good playing like that. You know, having kind of a lot of doubters early on in your career, and now you're 27.9 years old, and you just got re-upped with the Jaguars for another year.
Yeah, they restructured his contract. It looks like
basically just
freeing
to-
up some cap space.
They basically locked him in for another
Mm-hmm.
year, is the way I understood it. But nah, man, Foye is one of the guys in these best balls that is a guy in the first round that if he hangs too long, it's like, okay, I'm going Foye. I'm just not going to overthink it.
like pick 6.
Yes.
That's where I'm starting. Like after those, it's Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt. Who am I missing?
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby.
Yeah.
It's the top 5.
Those 5, and once those guys are gone, you start shifting to all right, Foye time
Yep.
or Roquan. I mean,
Sure.
one of
Those
those
two linebackers, more than happy to take those guys.
And then I've noticed Devin
We'll
White's
talk
been
about
slipping
it.
to the
We'll
second.
get there. Yeah, I've seen it too.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm not hitting linebacker.
Devin
until
White
like
just slid further. What were we? Was it in 37 or maybe it was 41? But I
you
noticed
got him really late. I thought in one of those.
maybe that was it. But anyways, yeah, I noticed. I was like, this name should not be here at this point, especially in a big play that we are.
Yeah, I mean,
Foye.
what kind of shelf life do you think Oluokun has? Do you think I don't see him on the Fred Warner trajectory. I don't think he's that good.
It seems pretty
But-
safe,
I
right?
don't know, man. I mean, yeah, it's very safe. And then just like the insane tackle production, though.
It's insane.
184 last year. That was actually down from 2021.
I was gonna
2021,
ask
192
if you
tackles.
should sell, but if you had sold last season, you made a mistake.
You'd be upset.
because you missed out on 17.7 points per
Yeah,
game.
the points per game was up, right? Because it was 17.7. It was 16.8 in 2021. It was 15.1 in 2020. So the dude, 3 years of being a legit linebacker 1, and now he's like a top 3 linebacker. So also, guy was really athletic. He was 9.21 RAS score.
Baller.
So yeah, I mean, Foye, I don't know. He's kind of flipped the narrative for me. I mean, I'm confident in Foye for another 2 years, and if you get Foye for 2 years, that is like a potential league winner for 2 years. You know, you're going to be at such an advantage at linebacker having this guy in your roster for the next 2 years. Who cares?
Josh,
Who cares if he burns out?
I just realized this laptop scrolls with just my fingers on the
yes,
screen.
sir. It's a
Thank
touch
you for that,
screen.
Josh.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate you.
You deserve
hey,
it.
Unreal technology.
27.9 years old. Is there a way that we could build into the ranks a way to auto tweet people on their birthday that says, "Hey, Foye,
That
happy
would be cool.
birthday
That
from
would be
the
nice.
IDP
We
show."
could do a little
I'm sure-
Zapier connection.
Yeah, Evan probably knows some type of formula.
Yeah. Evan, can you send out some birthday tweets for us?
Do your wizardry, Evan.
Yes, get behind the curtain, Mr. Wizard of Oz. All right, Bobo, let's cue you up for number 2 here. Take it away. I'm going to give you the solo cam. Who's next up here on the list?
Number 2, Nick Bolton, Kansas City Chiefs linebacker, 23.3 years old, UFA in 2025. His 2022 stats, 1,119 snaps, which was 98% snap share for the Chiefs. 17 games played. He had 16 points per game, 180 total tackles, 9 TFL, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, actually
a
1
fumble
fumble recovery,
yeah.
3 pass breakups, 7 QB hits, and then PFF grades of 77.3. His biggest PFF grades being run defense of 81 and tackle grade of 82.
We got everything we wanted from Nick Bolton.
All right, I'm going to stop you. So you spoke really highly of Fred Warner.
Yes.
Do you see Nick Bolton on the same career trajectory?
Not yet, because
Okay.
we've seen it 1 year.
Okay.
We've seen what we wanted from Nick Bolton last year, but we've seen it from Fred Warner now for half decade.
Okay.
So I want do what?
Yeah, his whole career.
Yeah, his whole career. So I want to see a little bit more out of Nick Bolton.
When did Bolton come into the league?
2 years.
2 years
This is
ago.
his second.
Okay.
This will be his 3rd year.
We
Okay,
wanted
okay.
to see the snaps. We wanted to see the production. We wanted to see the points per game. We wanted to see the PFF grades. We got it all. Do we have, let me ask it around this table, do we have legitimate reason to think that the linebacker addition of Drew Tranquil, Leo Chenal coming along, do we really have reason to think this is going to affect Nick Bolton?
I mean, I'm kind of concerned, honestly.
I think it's more the pecking order behind Bolton. I think it is possible that he could see a down tick in snaps, but if I had to put money down on it, I think he still stays above 95%.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about snaps. He's still LB1, but
Production-wise.
16 points per game. I mean, I feel like just having Drew Tranquil there, that's not going to be – he's not going to be going nuts like he was. They're just going to be someone else out there soaking up some tackles. And
He's got a lot of capable running mates, that's for sure.
Let me
Yeah.
read y'all some of these. Patrick Mahomes, 10-year, $450 million. Chris Jones, 4-year, $80 million. Joe
And Chris
Thuney,
Jones is about to get paid.
Yes. Juwan Taylor, Travis Kelce, Justin Reed, MVS, Harrison Butker. So cap-wise, I mean, they have obviously Mahomes is super important to them, but outside of that, Are they going to pay Chris Jones?
Yes.
Are they going to re-up Travis Kelce?
Yes.
MVS?
No.
Nope.
Kadarius Toney?
No.
George Karlaftis is a rookie. CEH. So what I'm
They're going
what
to
I'm
pay,
getting at is
Karlaftis and Nick Bolton.
I think they have the money to pay Bolton.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Which means that maybe you do see them scale him back a touch this year.
I think they can afford to. I mean,
keep
if
him
they
healthy.
wanted to.
And the Chiefs know what they are. They did
ramp
the
that
same with
down.
Pacheco last year.
Yeah.
They knew that Pacheco was this UDFA or 7th round rookie.
Yeah, 7th.
They knew this in training camp. And I think they kind of pulled the reins back, horse reference, pulled the reins back
Devin
on
White loved that.
Pacheco and ran CEH early on in the season so that they could let Mahomes and Pacheco and everybody like do what they want to weeks 12 through 18. They're going to make the playoffs.
Let's say Nick Bolton pops a hammy
Yeah.
and he's out a week. I don't think they're going to be rushing this guy back. I think they're just getting a little bit. We don't like it for IDP, but stacking a strength with a strength in the offseason or through the draft is what smart teams do.
It just, the more we do this IDP stuff, the more it's so rare to see the Fred Warner stats of not only like crazy stats, but also the PFF numbers
Very
and
good
the
player.
leadership on the field. And I see the same in Nick
Could
Bolton.
he be the next Fred Warner? Yes,
Yeah, for
absolutely. I think he could be on that path. I just want to see it. And I'm very curious what this year looks like with Drew Tranquil in the building, with Leo Chenal coming along,
Yeah.
Willie Gay probably out the door. I think Nick Bolton is the most stable asset there, but I am curious to see what happens coming off this mountaintop high.
Yeah.
There's really only room to go down, in my opinion, for
That's
Nick
true.
Bolton.
I think that Spagnuolo likes a lot of pieces, though. You look at what he's doing with his DBs. I mean, they've got L'Jarius Sneed. They've got the up-and-coming, I have him in RSO, McDuffie. They've got Justin Reed. They've got Mike Edwards. They've got Cook. You know, so it's just kind of like you get to play with whatever you want to play with from one week to the next, you know. I don't know how much of that changes week in and week out as far as like a game plan, who they're playing against, but I do think that Nick Bolton is he's the roots to that defense. He's the big oak tree standing in the middle.
Yes.
Two tall trees never worked out in
No,
Arizona tree
but-
reference.
Could we have one tall tree? We'll see what the
trees. Them oak trees are strong.
roots go down deep.
Sure.
Well, we've mentioned him a lot in passing tonight, but we're going to wrap up with Adam's number one Dynasty linebacker. We're going back to Baltimore. It is Roquan Smith, 26.2 years old, 5-year, $100 million contract this offseason. Potential out after 2026. So if you're wondering where Roquan Smith's going to be, it is going to be in Baltimore. He played 97% of snaps once he got to Baltimore. 17 games played, 17.1 points per game, 169 total tackles, 11 TFLs, 3 INTs, 4.5 sacks, 6 pass breakups, 4 QB hits. A lot of nice grades across the board for PFF. Roquan Smith is king of the mountain, Addy, and there is no one more deserving of this crown. Roquan is everything you want in an NFL linebacker and as an IDP asset.
Yep, just such a stud. He's definitely the highest paid linebacker, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, $100 million.
Did Baltimore pay that, or was that from the Bears?
Yeah,
That
that was
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Baltimore gave him
Okay.
that contract this offseason.
Yeah, and I mean,
Shaq Leonard is right under him, I believe.
yeah, and Baltimore has to feel really good about giving him that contract, you know, because the guy played phenomenal for him. But yeah, points per game wise, you mentioned 17.1 points per game in 2022, 15.3 in 21, 18 points per game in 2020. So this guy is just
Such a beast.
nothing but be a stud for us ever since he came into the league. Tackle numbers have been great. 169 this past year, 163 in 21, 139 in 2020. I'm pretty sure he missed some time. Also, the sacks have been pretty good too. 4.5 this past year, 3 in 21, 4 in 2020. So I mean, that's a 3-year average of 4 sacks.
Just tack on 4 sacks. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, just
Please and thank you.
just a perfect linebacker for
Truly.
us. And yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna be one of these probably legendary type linebackers, right? He's gonna be probably still really good in his early 30s, and I hope that he finishes his career there with Baltimore. That'd be kind of nice to see.
Be sweet. I mean, you don't need us to tell you that Roquan Smith is a great
Yeah.
IDP asset. I mean, I think even the most casual of IDP players have heard of Roquan Smith, probably rostered him at some point. And whether you're playing best ball, dynasty, or redraft, you can't go wrong going Roquan Smith early.
Is Roquan in a tier of his own? Is it tier 1 Roquan, tier 2 Nick Bolton, Foye?
For redraft for 2023, I think it's Foye and Roquan in tier 1. For dynasty, yes, I think it is Roquan by himself in tier 1.
I agree.
Yeah, because Foye, how old is Foye? Is he? He's 27.9.
Yeah.
Roquan's 26.2. I mean, Nick Bolton and Foye are like 1B. I mean, it's very close. But we've just seen it more from Roquan.
Yeah.
If Nick Bolton has another year, I think he's tapping on the door of that upper echelon.
No, I like that. That's a good point. I had never thought about it that way. Roquan's definitely in a tier of his own. He's kind of like the Travis Kelce, in my opinion. He just not only the points per game, but also, you know, just how many games has he missed?
How many linebackers come in and get $100 million contract? He is number one. Shaq Leonard was 98.5. So Fred Warner was number 3. So
what did the Bears get for him?
Second,
yeah.
Wow.
What they flipped for Chase Claypool. So they're feeling not great. And then went out and paid $1 trillion for TJ Edwards.
Dumb teams, dude. I was worried they were going to do that dumb stuff, and they did it.
It's like you could have saved the money, rolled out Jack Sanborn, you know, maybe grab someone cheap.
Jesus.
Rashawn
David Long, Aziz Al-Shaair. 1,000 guys available in free agency.
Instead, let's cross our fingers that Tremaine works out.
Yes, let's give
for multiple years.
Yes.
Let's give $100 million, you know, to 2 linebackers.
So stupid.
So stupid.
Pretty lame.
But Roquan Smith, drafting that guy, not stupid. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode. It is the finale of the top 48 Dynasty linebackers. We know y'all love some linebackers, so we blew it out this season.
Just crested 2.
Just 2 hours. Yeah, we just passed the 2-hour mark.
Hey,
so this was a big boy.
Before we get out of here, we didn't mention it, but some decent news this last week. Leonard Floyd signs with Buffalo.
Yeah,
very excited.
What do y'all think about that?
I've got a lot of Leonard Floyd shares, so I like it better than him not being on a team.
Yes, definitely.
Great best ball target because I don't want to try to figure out when to play that guy in managed leagues, but you got to love it for Buffalo, too. I mean, continuing to build out that edge group. It's some nice Von Miller insurance. I like reuniting Von Miller.
Yes.
And Leonard Floyd as well. That's fun.
Don't forget that.
You know, it does muddy the waters a little bit there, but, you know, that Buffalo edge rushing situation was a little bit ambiguous to begin with, and this just makes it more so for me.
I think, you know, I think all 3 of those guys can coexist, especially with Von Miller coming off the ACL. I think that this was like just a perfect fit, honestly, for Leonard Floyd. They're like, all right, well, Von Miller, you're not going to get your usual 60 to 70, but hopefully we can get you out there for 40 to 50. But Leonard Floyd, you're going to do your thing. And
they took a step back when Von got hurt.
Oh, big time.
You know, I think that was a pretty big hole in the team. But I feel like the Bills are kind of in a window to some extent.
Oh yeah.
Y'all better do it here pretty quick.
Cash in.
Yeah.
But look at Leonard Floyd the last 3 years. 9 sacks in 2022, 9.5 in 21, 10.5 in 2020. The tackles were pretty good too. 59 in 22, 70 in 21, 55 in 2020. So that was a 3-year average of 61.3 tackles and a 3-year average for sacks of 9.7. So that's fantastic.
You're getting close to 10 sacks per year. Sign me up for that.
I would also argue that he is one of the few players that hasn't really gotten that like Aaron Donald effect. You know, they haven't had any other good pass rushers here the last couple years. I mean, like, I know they had Ogbonnia. I know they've had, you know, just some
Ebicam.
Yeah, just some help, you know, but Leonard Floyd really has been a good pass rusher by himself, alone, standing apart from Aaron Donald the last couple of years.
And
so
I think
I'm happy for him.
I think it's going to be him, Gregory Rousseau, and Von Miller as the top 3 guys in that edge rotation.
Just rotate them out.
Just keep them going.
It's good for Ed Oliver, too. I mean, give him some help on the interior.
Got that new deal?
Yep.
So
I like
good for
that.
you, Ed Oliver.
People probably forget Leonard Floyd was a former 9th overall pick.
Wow.
Yep.
9.83 RAS score.
Was he of the Bears originally?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's 6'5.5", 244.
He feels stinky because he's the 9th overall pick and he kind of bounced around a little bit, but he's had a solid career when you go back
he's
and
31.
Look.
And he's still doing it. Like we mentioned, 10 sacks over his last 3 years. That's the average.
Vets.
Yeah. 2 guys that I kind of look at very similar that I have a lot of shares of because they go later. Unique Ngakoue and Leonard Floyd. Give me the sack artists that are like bouncing around and kind of doing the mercenary approach. I'm fine with that in best ball.
It's these are guys that haven't been signed yet. It's a matter of time. They're gonna sign.
Just gobble up the discount. Rashawn Evans is still sitting out there in best ball 41. We're probably 50 or 60 linebackers in. So dude's gonna sign somewhere. He's gonna be relevant.
Definitely about to get taken.
Definitely about to get taken. You better get in there and make a pick. Like I said, join us over at theidpshow.com. We're drafting all offseason, y'all. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get cranking, probably get up to best ball 50 this coming week. So
I'm telling you, if you're locked in and rocking with this, you're going to tell a difference. You're going to know. You're going to be just levels ahead of everyone else. So
absolutely. So check it out. We've got the IDP draft kit or the IDP show draft kit over there. We've made some updates. We're going to have in-season rankings, as we mentioned, new episodes of the after show. We're going to have the Q&A thread in seasons with those questions being answered on the pod by Jake and Evan. So we're going to take care of y'all. It's not just this summer, the off-season, draft season. Obviously, we're going to be locked in and giving y'all the best possible resources to succeed. In season, we're going to take care of you too, Addy.
Y'all should know. This is year 4 for us.
That's right. We love our listeners. Yeah, we are coming up on year 4. Our birthday is sometime in July. I think it's July 19th maybe when we drop the first episode.
Sounds right.
So, 4-year anniversary coming up here. We'll have to do something special.
Time flies.
That's right.
Got to have a nice triple kiss.
Tune in to the OnlyFans for that coming soon. But thank you all again for listening. Be sure to check out the after show we got coming up on Wednesday with DJ Cowtown next week. It will be John Macri and Tom Kislingberry talking about scheme changes. And then we will be back after that to talk about second-year IDPs that you need to be paying attention to.
We'll be back to talk about scheme busters.
Hey, we tried to tell you all last year. Trying to tell you.
So look forward to that. We got a lot of good stuff cooking. Y'all know where to find us. We'll be here all off season until a couple weeks from now. We'll see y'all soon. Take care.
It's the IDP show. Now you